Welcome viewers, you're watching Republic Defense, the latest edition with me, Rakshita Mishra. We get you the big news this week, viewers. India boosting its war preparedness. India has successfully conducted 3 tests in 24 hours, viewers. And this is a boost to India's Iron Dome. That is the test we are talking about. Not just that, the anti-ship missile test has also taken place. Thanks to the DRDO, we get you details and the significance of this. Also on the show, we bring you how the SIPRI report highlights a change in India's nuclear posture, India's nuclear shift, the deployment of 12 warheads during peacetime. And also we have the Zojila breakthrough. India Republic TV brings you the ground report from the Zojila tunnel and how it checkmates Pakistan and China both. We also bring you the latest coming in as far as India's manufacturing capabilities are concerned. The first C-295, the first made in India military aircraft takes flight in Gujarat. So the big story, viewers, is India has taken the major stride towards building the robust indigenous missile defense architecture, with Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, successfully conducting 3 consecutive missile flight tests over 10th and 11th of June, reportedly. Now, officially, viewers, this is the successful testing of 2 advanced interceptor missiles designed for an intermediate range ballistic missile, that is the IRBM defense, capable of engaging threats. Viewers, let's just go to what the Defense Minister has in fact spoken about. He has on Saturday morning posted on social media platform X about the trials, about the tests. And in fact, this is the post by Rajnath Singh. Let me just read that out to you, viewers. This is the successful test as India joins elite group showcasing BMD and NASM MR tests. This is the naval anti-ship missile medium range test and the ballistic missile defense test, viewers. And this is the successful demonstration as it positions India among an elite group of nations possessing the operational level ballistic missile defense capability with the ability to intercept and neutralize ballistic missiles, including threats up to intercontinental ballistic missile class. And viewers, we have been joined by Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar, Strategic Affairs and Defense Expert, PVSM, AVSM and VSM. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Republic TV. And it's great news that is coming in right now. India has been, testing several missiles in the past 1 year, sir, but this one has its own significance. How do you see this?
It's a very significant step which has been taken and a great missile capability which has, accrued. Let me put it in context. There are 2 tests fundamentally.
Yes.
One test is the ballistic missile defense test. That means, as put out so far, you can intercept intermediate range ballistic missiles. Anything in intermediate range ballistic missiles are anything between 2,000 to 5,000 kilometers away. They can be intercepted now, or we have the capability to do so either endo-atmospherically or exo-atmospherically. Endo-atmospherically means that you can intercept them at the terminal stages of their flight, within the atmosphere about 100 kilometers away, till where it has to reach. And we can also intercept it out of the atmosphere. So I think what 2 tests have been done. One is probably for a endo-atmospheric, that is within the atmosphere, and one is in space. This is a huge capability by any standards. The third test which has been carried out is not a defensive test; it's a strike test. It's a anti-ship missile capability which can strike ships far away. So all these 3 tests put India on a different platform. Now you have to consider this capability with the capability which we've had demonstrated over the past 1 year. We've been, we fired the Agni 5, we've fired the MIR, we've tested successfully the multiple independent re-entry vehicle capability we have demonstrated. We've also demonstrated the capability of firing from underwater platforms. We've operationalized the SSBNs. So I think there's a huge jump which has happened in our overall capability. And this also aligns in fact, it doesn't align. It underpins what our Prime Minister spoke about the Sudarshan Chakra, which is to be deployed. He spoke about this in the Republic Day, and I think it's a huge jump. And kudos to our scientists and DRDO people. We are very proud of them. Uh, uh, we could talk more because I'm sure there are more questions with you. Yeah, over to you.
Yes, sir. We will continue to talk about that, but in the meantime, we'll also, talk to you about the nuclear shift also in India's policy, which we want to discuss with you. Now, SIPRI report has revealed that India continues to strengthen its strategic deterrence. But what has happened for the first time is that during peacetime, India has deployed the nuclear warheads. Now, the report estimates that India now possesses around 190 nuclear warheads, compared to Pakistan's estimated 170 warheads. India is also believed to be, as per the report, developing new nuclear delivery systems, including the longer range missile platforms. Pakistan has focused on expanding the fissile material production in the meantime. But if you talk about this figure, viewers, that we are running, India has deployed currently 12 of the warheads. 190 is the estimated total, the military stockpile. And compared to Pakistan, there's 10 more. So that, of course, is a cause of worry for Pakistan also. We'll just go across Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar on that as well. And not to forget, viewers, that India is the fifth largest military spender also as per this report. So General P.R. Shankar, how do you see this development? Because this is being touted as something that has never been seen before. Now, India, what is happening geopolitically is facing, multiple threats more than ever before. And now we have India deploying these warheads as per the reports again. And the numbers, will never be revealed, the exact numbers. But India has deployed this in peacetime. And especially we see this in context of what happened in May 2025 also.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing. This deployment of 12 missiles is basically your second strike capability. These are all deployed most probably in the SSBNs, that is your nuclear submarines. Right? We have 3 nuclear submarines, and out of these, normally one is out at patrol, which means that it's out on patrol with nuclear weapons. At any one stage, if there's a strike on India, you have this capability of striking back. So this second strike capability completes, or the underwater capability completes the triad. And India is one of the few countries, along with USA, UK, France, China, and Russia. And now sixth country, India has got the triad capability. This is more against China than Pakistan. This is something which I need to highlight. Well, Pakistan has 170 warheads, but let's not be sanguine about it because they are aggressively accumulating more fissile material, and we might see an expansion of this next year. But leave that as it may. This capability is going to increase as we go along. The capability of mounting missiles on the SSBNs and having a second strike capability, which gives us a huge lot of insurance. Now, you see this capability in conjunction with the anti-missile defense which we have, which brings out the fact that, look, you have the capability of intercepting incoming missiles, whether they are nuclear or otherwise, and you have the capability of striking back. So this in a combination is very good for India, and I think things will move ahead as we go. Yeah, there are issues which I must highlight. We are living in an age where there is no control, and there's huge nuclear proliferation and expansion of global missile capability. Right, because all the handbrakes on missile development capability, utility, and all have broken down. The last treaty, the new START, that is Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, which came in place in 2010. In 2023, Russia pulled out of it. Now it is broken. Effectively, today there is no global system where you can which governs the deployment or employment of all these weapon systems, and we are almost free run. So we are and take into consideration all the wars which are happening in which all the superpowers are involved. Russia, China itself in the South China Sea, and USA in Iran. We are in a very unstable situation. We don't know who will fire off a missile when. Take that view. You now know that, okay, you have a capability to defend yourself against it and give them an assured second strike capability against that nation which takes this step against us. So I think this is a huge, up on our defense. And as we go along, as India's power grows, we need to have more of this.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, as I saw earlier, you did talk of the Zojila tunnel. We could talk of the Zojila tunnel now because that also has connect with what is happening, what we're talking of. We could do it now, or we could do it a little later after you show some visuals about the Zojila tunnel.
Yes.
Back to you,
We'll
madam.
in fact come back to you on that. But right now, let me just, viewers, in the meantime, tell you how India has also increased its military spending. Now, let's go across to the top 5 military spenders. US tops the chart, $954 billion. And that China is on the number 2 spot. Russia is number 3. Of course, it's also actively engaged in a war since now been more than 4 years. Germany, and then India is out the 5th spot. $92.1 billion as per the CIPRI report is the spending. If you talk about our country, this is a change, 8.9% of an increment if you talk about the increase. Now, it's a major milestone for one of India's most strategically significant infrastructure projects, and also, of course, very, very important to checkmate China and Pakistan. The Zojila tunnel, 13-kilometer long tunnel, has achieved a crucial breakthrough, marking the successful completion. The excavation process, the phase has been completed. It's located at an altitude of nearly 11,800 feet. And it's the tunnel that is the world's longest high-altitude bi-directional road tunnel that provides all-weather connectivity between Kashmir Valley and Ladakh. Once operational, it will bypass the snowbound Zojila Pass, reducing travel distance by 27 kilometers and cutting the journey time by over 2 hours. For the armed forces, the project is a strategic game-changer. The tunnel will ensure year-round movement of troops, military equipment, fuel and supplies to Ladakh, significantly reducing the dependence on the costly and weather-sensitive airlift operations. It will also, in fact, improve the force mobilization along both the line of actual control with China and the line of control with Pakistan, enhancing the operational readiness in a critical border region. While the excavation is now complete, work is underway on the ventilation system, safety infrastructure and the final tunnel lining that continues with the full project completion targeted for 2028. Now, why is it important, viewers? How does it bring an advantage to India? Now, the Zojila breakthrough, viewers, is very important to counter Pakistan also. In fact, this entire route had played an important role during the 1948 India-Pakistan war. Also, the Battle of Tanks in fact turned the tide, viewers, the Zojila battle. In fact, even during the Kargil war, Pakistan had targeted this particular route to cut the military supplies, to cut Ladakh off from India. And talking about right now what's happening, it will now connect the Kashmir Valley to Ladakh very, very easily and for the entire year. Crucial link on the Srinagar-Leh highway. There are 2 routes, of course, to connect, but this one is going to give a year-round connectivity. So even during snowfall, for months, this route would be shut. It would be blocked. Makes very difficult in times of battles. So it's vital for the troop movement. It's vital for military logistics as well. So now there will be continuous supply that cannot be stopped. It's key supply line to Kargil, Leh and forward posts, especially along the LAC and the LOC, of course. Critical for border security and operational readiness, viewers. And we have seen that India continues to take the steps for operational readiness. And this is another boost for the same. So, viewers, in fact, my colleague Zina Dishan Fazal has filed this report from ground zero. She shows you this the Zojila tunnel from inside.
I'm inside the Zojila tunnel, which is the single tube tunnel, but it is a bi-directional tunnel. And today the breakthrough blast was observed, and it was done by the Union Minister Nitin Gadkari using the remote control detonator to blast the very site. And this is the visual that we are showing you. This is the site of that very blast. You can see there's rocks are scattered all around, and many of the workforce, those who are part of this very project, are just still into their job. They're observing their surroundings here. Although the tunnel will be completed by next year, the deadline is set for 2027 November December, but meanwhile we are seeing that the work in the progress and also the excavation part has already been completed, just remaining some 3-meter work which will be covered in couple of days from now. As far as the Zojila tunnel is concerned, this is one of the strategic important tunnel, because the forces, the army convoy, those forces that have been deployed along the line of actual control, they take their movement they will be taking the movement by using this very road. Although the work has been completed, meanwhile this is a horseshoe shaped tunnel, and it took almost 2021 when the work started, and it's 2026. In the last 5 years, the majority of the work has been completed, and the project cost was more than 6,800 crores that have been spent by the government of India to give this beautiful tunnel to the people of Ladakh and Kashmir.
And viewers, India's first made in India C-295 military transport aircraft successfully completed its maiden test flight at the Tata Airbus final assembly line in Vadodara of Gujarat. That marked the major milestone for country's aerospace and defense manufacturing sector for Atmanirbharta in defense. The aircraft is first of 40 C-295s being manufactured in the country under the deal that was signed, the 21,935 crore deal signed with Airbus in 2021. The program represents the first time a military transport aircraft is being produced by India by the private sector under the Make in India initiative. In fact, it's designed to replace the Indian Air Force's aging Avro fleet. The C-295 can carry troops, cargo, medical evacuation teams and special operations forces as well, and is expected to significantly boost the Indian Air Force's tactical airlift capability, while also strengthening India's journey towards self-defense, self-reliance in defense and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So let me just show you what it's significant, how it's significant. The viewers, in fact, this is the C-295 aircraft. Its endurance is 11 hours, all-weather capability, 9-ton of payload capacity, 71 troop capacity, 40 to 50 paratroops capacity also. If you talk about the max cruise speed, that is 260 knots. It also has a twin turbo prop engine as well. It has STOL, that is short takeoff and landing system also, and it is austere capable. Austere capable means that it can function, it can land or take off from remote airstrips, from unprepared airstrips as well. So very, very important for even the rescue missions, and when there are there are special forces also at work in difficult terrains. So in multiple terrains, in difficult terrains, in rugged terrains, on unprepared airstrips, this C-295 military aircraft can function. So this, of course, is a major milestone for India's defense capabilities. And viewers, with that we come to the end of the bulletin, but we now bring you a glimpse of the initiative from the Indian Army. The General Officer Commanding-in-Chief of Central Command, Indian Army, Lieutenant General Anindya Sen Gupta, flagged off the Surya Green Himalayan Odyssey electric vehicle expedition from Kasauli this week. Now, in the expedition, 10 Tata electric vehicles will traverse the border areas and remote locations of Himachal Pradesh and Ladakh over 11 days, covering 1,663 kilometers before culminating at the Hall of Fame at Leh on 22nd of June. And the expedition is led by Major Aman Singh Yadav of the Golden Key Division and comprises 10 Indian Army personnel, 5 representatives from Tata EV and 2 digital content creators. Also now the expedition route will traverse through the rugged landscapes of Spiti, Lahore and Hanle, Chushul and Tangste. That's negotiating some of the world's highest motorable roads. Expedition will pay homage at the Rezangla War Memorial, honouring the valour and supreme sacrifice of the soldiers of 13 Kumaon during the Battle of Rezangla in 1962. We leave you with a glimpse of that. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा मसाला।
जब तक लाजवाब न बन जाए उसे नहीं इत्मीनान है, तभी तो रिचमंड बनना नहीं आसान है।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है। स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist, is one of our own. So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him, we will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive and the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then, this is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from,
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला.
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer, go to AIIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now viewers, our top focus at this hour, what is brewing inside Trinamool Congress? Now in the latest, Suvendu Adhikari's meet with the rebel faction MPs in Delhi has now been cancelled. The question is, why is the meet cancelled or is it just postponed? We'll get you all the details on that, but first up, a quick check at the top headlines. Rebel TMC MP meet with Suvendu Adhikari postponed after Bengal as CM Suvendu cancels a Delhi visit. CID summons Abhishek Banerjee in connection with signature forgery case. Earlier, Abhishek Banerjee was questioned for nearly 6 hours. Uddhav Thackeray calls for meeting with MPs amid speculation that 7 of Uddhav Sena's MP are in contact with the Shinde faction. Prime Minister Modi is set to hold bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron and defence, civil, nuclear energy innovation on agenda. Donald Trump says a US-Iran deal to be signed on Monday. However, Iran refutes claims saying a signing will not take place today. Welcome viewers, our top focus now. West Bengal Chief Minister Suvendu Adhikari's proposed visit to Delhi has now been cancelled. Chief Minister Suvendu Adhikari was supposed to meet the rebel TMC faction in New Delhi today before the sudden change of plans took place. Now, in fact, this comes right ahead of their meeting with Lok Sabha Speaker, which is now scheduled for Monday. And for today, there was a meeting that was planned between West Bengal CM Suvendu Adhikari and the rebel faction, which includes 19 TMC MPs who are set to break away from the party and stake the claim to TMC's symbol. But the meeting as of now stands cancelled. It's been postponed, we understand, as Suvendu Adhikari's Delhi visit has now been cancelled. All right, my colleague Saurav also joins with more details on this. Saurav, take us through the latest that we're picking up. We understand that Suvendu Adhikari's Delhi visit now stands cancelled, which is why the meet with the rebel factions also remains postponed.
Yes, Ishita, according to the information which we received right now, that Suvendu Adhikari's Delhi visit is now stands cancelled, and Suvendu Adhikari, who is the West Bengal CM, was scheduled to meet the 19 rebel MPs tonight at the residence of Kakoli Dassidar Ghosh, and they was about to have dinner, and they were about to discuss the plan for the future of the rebel faction. And now this meeting stands cancelled in the national capital, and tomorrow all the 19 rebel MPs will schedule to meet the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, as they have submitted a letter to him regarding recognizing them as the original TMC faction. However, the Speaker office have not communicated anything to them right now, and the Speaker office will take a decision after they will verify the letter and all the 19 signatures which were present on the letter.
Are you fetching any reason from our sources as to why the visit has now been cancelled and why the meeting has now been postponed? Because it comes right ahead of their scheduled meeting with the Speaker.
Yeah, Ishita, it is mainly because that the TMC faction, that the 19 rebel MPs wants that they would be recognized as the original TMC faction, and there are no, they have also there were speculations that they were about to merge with the NDA, but they have rejected all these speculations, and they have just said that they will support the NDA, but they will not merge with them. And they 19 rebel MPs wanted to be recognized as the original TMC faction. That is why, according to sources, that this meeting is cancelled because of that only, because of this reason. And now all the 19 rebel MPs will meet the Lok Sabha Speaker tomorrow, and there will be a decision on the faction that if they will be recognized as the original TMC or the Speaker will deny their request. However, TMC sources have maintained that there are no 19 MPs which are leaving the TMC. However, the number are much less, but still there are signatures of 19 rebel MPs on a letter which was submitted on May 18 to the Speaker Om Birla. However, as per the details of the letter which was submitted to him, there were serial number from 1 to 10 for the signatories. However, there are names of 19 MPs only. And now tomorrow will be a major
despite
day.
The fact that the meeting now stands cancelled, we are certainly looking at this revolt within Trinamool now escalating, and the climax could of course come in with the speakers meet tomorrow. On that note, thanks Saurav for joining us, and now viewers, staying with more developments coming to light from West Bengal. Now Trinamool Congress General Secretary and Lok Sabha MP Abhishek Banerjee will be appearing before CID today in connection with his signature forgery case. Now viewers, the case here pertains to allegations that signatures of TMC MLAs were in fact fabricated on a party resolution submitted to the Assembly Speaker for the selection of leader of opposition. Now this comes after Banerjee was questioned for nearly 6 hours at the CID headquarters in South Kolkata on Thursday. Abhishek in fact had earlier skipped the 3 summons issued to him on June 1st, June 8th and June 9th as well. His legal team had informed the agency that he was unwell and was in the capital city. Earlier on Thursday, in fact, the Calcutta High Court also granted interim protection from coercive action to Banerjee in this case. But of course, today is when he appears before CID again, and he will be grilled over the signature forgery case. My colleague Kishale also joins me with more details on this. Kishale, take us through the information that we are fetching at this moment. We understand that Abhishek Banerjee will be appearing before the CID today in the signature forgery case.
Well, exactly. 2 cases are being investigated against Abhishek Banerjee. People of West Bengal call him Chor Bhaipo. So 2 cases are being investigated and 2 cases are handled by the CID right now. One case is the signature forgery case that Chor Bhaipo Abhishek Banerjee forged signatures of his own party MLAs. The other case is pertaining to his threats to the Home Minister of the country, Amit Shah. So today, on 14th, Abhishek Banerjee will be appearing in front of the CID in that signature forgery case, and on 16th, day after tomorrow, he is supposed to appear in the threat case where he threatened the Home Minister of the country. Now, CID is questioning Chor Bhaipo Abhishek Banerjee last day when he appeared before the CID. We from Republic Bangla, Republic TV, questioned him continuously. I was questioning him continuously about whether he's ashamed for forging signatures of his own party MLAs and why did he steal the money of the people of West Bengal. He could not answer that. There are several charges against him. There are charges of extortion. There are charges of stealing signatures of his own party MLAs. There are charges of threatening the country's home minister. There are charges of anti-national activities like challenging the Union of India. So all these are being investigated by several agencies, and today he is supposed to appear before the CID by afternoon. So, and after that, there will be a long interrogation is what we are getting to.
All right, Kishale, do continue to stay with us. We're getting some breaking news at this moment. Now, TMC rebel MPs will in fact be meeting in Banga Bhavan in the afternoon today. We understand that out of those 19 rebel MPs, Mala Roy and in fact Sayani Ghosh, they've been spotted at the Kolkata airport and they're on their way to Delhi, on their way to the capital city, where the meeting is now scheduled to take place between the rebel faction. Now, remember, viewers, this comes right ahead of their meeting with the speaker, which is scheduled for tomorrow. All right, Kishale continues to stay with me on this as well. Kishale, take us through the, the scoop that we're picking up at this moment. We understand that TMC rebel MPs will be holding a crucial meet today at Banga Bhavan in the afternoon, and you will have, in fact, Mala Roy and Saini Ghosh have already left from Kolkata for the capital city.
Well, Mala Roy, who was known to be a close associate of ex-Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, has been her aide since a long time. She has also dumped Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee. Shayoni Ghosh, who was known to be a close associate of Abhishek Banerjee in political terms, she has now dumped Abhishek Banerjee. So all these MPs are heading to Delhi today. Sudeep Roy, we know Sudeep Roy and Shatabdi also met the Home Minister Amit Shah yesterday. And what happened yesterday was there were back-to-back meetings with several BJP leaders, including Bhupendra Yadav. So we know that today there is a high-voltage meeting of these MPs who will be deciding on their future course of action, and they will be forming a new front to support the NDA.
All right. On that note, thanks, Kishali, for joining us and giving us the latest as to what is brewing inside the Trinamool Congress as the revolt now reaches the capital city. All right, we are now shifting focus at the controversy where obscene comments were passed off as comedy over stand-up comedian Praneeth More's alleged obscene and controversial remarks has now reached Maharashtra government. Taking serious note of the complaints and viral videos, the Home Department has now ordered a detailed probe into all of Praneeth More's online content. In fact, the Maharashtra Cyber Police will also examine his shows, clips and social media videos to now determine whether any material violates the law or poses a threat to public order. The findings of this investigation could also pave way for further legal action against comedian Praneeth More, who's now involved in this controversy where obscene comments were passed off as comedy. So we are looking at a crackdown, in fact, as the controversy over the remarks made at Praneeth More's show is now escalating. In fact, a probe has now been ordered by the Maharashtra government into this case, where a digital scanning of all the video content that Praneeth More has put out on social media will now take place. The Cyber Police will examine all his shows, clips as well as social media videos to now determine whether any material violates the law or poses a threat to public order. Now we're just moving on. A fire broke out in Govindpuri on Friday last week, and an update has now come in on Friday's Govindpuri fire case. Now 3 people were killed in this fire and about 2 were injured. But now a CCTV footage has surfaced during the investigation into the deadly Govindpuri fire. Now the CCTV here, viewers, show a masked woman entering the residential building just shortly before the blaze broke out, prompting police to analyze her movements as they now probe the cause of the tragedy that killed about 3 members of the same family. Now, the footage recorded in the early hours just before the fire broke out on Friday shows a woman with her face partially covered entering the narrow lane which leads to the building. She's seen walking past the parked two-wheelers and approaching the entrance before she moves inside the premises. Now, no flames, smoke or any visible signs of fire can be seen in the clip. However, viewers, right after the woman remains inside for some time, a bright light becomes visible. We'll try and get you the video as well, which shows the woman entering the building and then leaving as the flames now become visible. And moments later in the video, you can see that she reappears and is seen leaving the premises. The fire broke out in the early hours of the Friday, which triggered panic among residents as several occupants were rescued by neighbors and emergency responders. So this is essentially the CCTV footage that we have now accessed, showing how this woman enters the building, and for some time she stays inside, and as she comes out, one can see some light which comes in the building, showing that how the flame or the fire essentially has now begun. So the questions are being raised over what exactly this woman did in the building, over her role in this entire tragedy where 3 members of the same family were killed. We'll try and show you the video. In fact, you can see how we have highlighted for you in this video that this woman enters the building in Govindpuri. This is where the fire broke out right after she left the building, and this is where the entire building was gutted and 3 members lost their lives. In fact, more developments coming in the same case as we continue to see that now police has confirmed that fire in fact was a deliberate act of arson. Now, as the investigation proceeds, the masked women set the building on fire, leaving 3 dead has now been confirmed in the latest that we're getting at this hour. 4, in fact, have been apprehended in this case, in this Govindpuri deadly fire case in which 3 people were killed. So we're looking at a more investigation coming to light as the woman has now been confirmed that she's the one who set the building on fire, and now 4 other people have also been apprehended in this case. So what looked like an accident has now turned out to be a deliberate act of arson in this case. All right, viewers, that's all we could pack in this edition of Live and Breaking. Thanks so much for watching. And don't go anywhere. Coming up on the other side, getting you all the updates as Prime Minister Modi is now all set to hold bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. Defence, civil, nuclear energy and innovation are on the agenda.
MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, राजा RDefence मसाला।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him we will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive. And the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then. This is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from the BJP, and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape, and people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there, ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this...
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया? आया।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer go to AIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem report? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking these questions. Now I ask you, am I right or wrong in asking these questions? And if I don't, who will? Will the government of Madhya Pradesh raise these questions? The Chief Minister doesn't have 30 seconds to meet the victim's family. Will the higher courts of the country raise these questions? So far, I have not seen this case being picked up by the appellate courts, though we are screaming and shouting about it. So I say tonight, what happens when other institutions fail? And if we do a media trial, should we be celebrated and supported for doing so? Was Aravali a media trial? Yes, it was. It was. Thank God for that. Thank God for that media trial which stopped the Aravalis from being destroyed. Was the Pune Porsche case a media trial where innocents were killed by a rich brat and the whole system colluded to give the rich brat a free run? Was it a media trial? I confess it was. Thank God for it. Thank God for that media trial. Was RG Kaur a media trial? When the government of Mamata Banerjee and the whole system came together to destroy the evidence? Was it? If it was a media trial, I and the entire Republic Bangla team are proud for it. Thank God for that. Thank God for such media trials in our country. Thank God for the media trial in the Jessica Lal murder case. Thank God for the media trial in the Nirbhaya case. Thank God for the media trial in the Sheena Bora murder case. Thank God for the media trial in the Disha Salian murder case. Thank God for the media trial in the Pune Porsche case. Thank God for the media trial in the Sandesh Khali case where Mamata Banerjee stood there and the media made a hue and cry about Sandesh Khali, the mass gang rape of Hindu women, before the politicians stepped in. If it was not for a media trial, there would be no expose of Sandesh Khali. And you know what? Thank God for the media trial and the media debate and the media investigation that forced the judge to resign in the cash burning scam, where in the house of a judge in the heart of Lutyens, cash was burning. It made people uncomfortable, the judiciary uncomfortable. Thank God for that media trial. And thank God for the media trial in Aravali, which forced the Supreme Court to retrace the steps of an order which, if implemented, would have been disastrous for society and ecology. Thank God for that media trial. And I say thank God for the ongoing media trial in the Tushar Sharma case. And I'm ready to challenge anyone who says that media trial is bad. I say when media trial happens for the right reasons, without any malice and only good intent, it's the best thing that can happen in the persistent and constant and unstoppable fight for the truth. I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He is accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused.
Hi there, welcome back to your favorite deep dive show on stories contemporary and consequential for India. This week was one of tumult in the world of artificial intelligence. From trillion-dollar IPOs to governments staking claims of ownership of private corporations to inner voice call for a pause coming from the AI tech bros. All this happened within a week. So I get you a lowdown on the battle of ideas and ownership in AI. Second, crisis-ridden Manipur through a contrast. While there are pockets of resistance in the rest of the country, Manipuris hit the streets of Imphal demanding a National Register of Citizens, or the NRC as it is called. Why is the hill state flowing against the tide? We discuss. And in the final short segment, the demography debate on India. Why are Elon Musk and The Economist flagging it? Let's get going. There's a tempest in the world of AI, a jousting match that panned out this week between the forces of capitalism and communism, with the forces of God led by the Pope weighing in again. In our last week's episode, I delved on the Pope's warning on artificial intelligence and how it presented a clear and present danger to humanity. In his first encyclical, Pope Leo XIV had underscored existential threat this latest technology invention poses to human civilization. As if on cue, Argentina, under its libertarian president Javier Milei, raised hackles by proposing to become the first country in the world to give personhood to AI, or entirely AI-made corporations. In a quixotic and related development, left liberal US Senator Bernie Sanders and MAGA right Donald Trump looked in the same direction, toying with the idea of American government owning stakes in AI corporations. The scary power of artificial intelligence has done the unthinkable, united the left, right, and center, Bernie, Trump, and the Pope, perhaps with different motivations, but acknowledging the common fear of AI becoming powerful enough to sideline humanity if it continues at the present pace. Is it time for a pause? Maybe yes. Let's connect the dots backwards. AI bellwether Anthropic, the American AI company behind the much talked about AI engine Claude, has proposed that all research on AI should temporarily stop. The pause is aimed at taking a breath, gathering the ecosystem, have a hard look at what comes next, and then proceed with caution, under an umbrella of regulation. Anthropic chief Dario Amodei followed up the pause request with an essay that paints a picture of an approaching catastrophe that could lead to an apocalypse resulting in the collapse of the human civilization as we know it. It begins with an interesting analogy from The Lord of the Rings, where hobbits, seeing the jungle being cut, try to raise an alarm with a sentient tree, only to realize the tree is slow, too slow to avert the catastrophe. In this instance, Amodei is the hobbit and the government's the slow sentient tree. For those interested, you can directly read it online. But even discounting for the PR exercise element in this, given Anthropic has been projecting itself as the responsible AI versus the reckless others, specifically OpenAI of Sam Altman, this needs to be seen in perspective. About 90% of code of Anthropic is now written by AI. That is, Claude is writing code for Claude and self-improvising, building its own successor. Let's see how the sentient tree is behaving amid the prophecy of doom. Argentina's President Javier Milei announced last week that his government would bring a law of non-human corporations, or on non-human corporations, a legal entity owned and operated completely by AI agents or robots. Human shareholders may participate but are not required. He wrote in a guest column provocatively titled, "Argentina invites AI to free itself," in the Financial Times. Milei is pitching Argentina as the home of unregulated AI amidst the tempest around the world on how to control this monster technology. Under existing law everywhere in the world, you need humans to set up a company, directors, shareholders, someone legally accountable. The Argentine president wants to strip that requirement away, which means for all practical purposes, an AI agent could incorporate a company, execute contracts, hire workers, and sue people in court, all without a single human being making the call. Milei seems to be doubling down on his libertarian credentials. He believes, just like the invention of limited liability company back in 1602 with the Dutch East India Company that put humanity on road to multiplying its wealth 200 times and per capita income 15 times in the last 4 centuries, so would AI. And that present laws and poorly understood regulation might be premature. Milei went on to add, as much as the Industrial Revolution freed us from the constraints of the human muscle, AI will free us from the constraints of the human brain, pushing productivity beyond our wildest dreams. The Vatican weighed in shortly, with the Pope disagreeing with Milei's pitch to make AI an unregulated frontier for economic expansion. The pontiff picked up from where his encyclical of last week left, in which he had strongly batted for global regulation. AI should remain a tool to assist humanity and not replace it. Mali's AI evangelism might not be unconnected with American serial entrepreneur and angel investor to most big tech corporations of the day, including in the AI space, Peter Thiel, setting base in Buenos Aires just ahead of Mali's op-ed. Thiel has been the most trenchant critic of Pope's position on AI regulation, even calling the pontiff Antichrist. Liberal historian and author Yuval Noah Hariri took cudgels on behalf of the Pope in a direct rebuttal in the same newspaper, bringing up some ethical questions. Who do you punish when an AI-run company does something wrong? Who's accountable? With human executives, there's an easy answer. Because they fear prison. That fear keeps their corporate behavior within the bounds of law. AI agent won't have the fear of prison or capital punishment. What are the ethical consequences of that on the conduct of AI agents running a corporation? Harari wrote of an AI agentic CEO. If it faces bankruptcy, which is equivalent to its death, it would presumably be willing to do anything to avoid that fate. To buttress his claims, Harari cited a 2025 study by Berkeley nonprofit Palisade Research in which advanced AI models from both OpenAI and DeepSeek, when playing chess against a powerful engine they were likely to lose to, frequently chose to cheat, hacking the game environment rather than accepting defeat. The debate reached the United States.
In the coming weeks, I will be introducing the American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. This legislation would give the public a direct ownership stake in the largest AI companies in our country through a one-time 50% tax, not on the profits of the largest AI companies in the U.S., but something that is far more valuable than that, the stock. Under this bill, the federal government would have the power through its voting shares and an equal representation on each company's board to block decisions that hurt the public and to push for policies that help them. When a public resource generates wealth, the public should share in that wealth.
U.S. Senator and Hillary Clinton challenger Bernie Sanders released this video on Monday in which he warned against AI's democracy-killing possibilities, centralizing all power in the hands of a few big tech oligarchs. He proposed a law, AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act, to take 50% stake in the big AI companies like Anthropic, Musk-led X, and OpenAI. The thought scared AI ecosystem so much that Sam Altman of OpenAI rushed to meet the senator. Conscious of the suspicion around AI, Altman did not dispute the idea as much as seek moderation of their stake. Maybe 25% would be acceptable. But Bernie got support in an unlikely quarter. The most right-wing president in recent history, Donald Trump. When asked for his view, Trump told reporters, there's something very interesting about it, where it almost becomes a partnership with the American public. We'll look into that. Listen to him.
Pieces could be given to the American public, where the American public essentially becomes a partner with the companies. And I will tell you, yeah, I have spoken to all of them. There's something very interesting about it, where it almost becomes a partnership with the American public. And we'll look into that. We are looking. I actually have a meeting scheduled in the very near future with, did you know that? With all of the companies. And we're talking about it, where the American people can benefit from the success of AI. And by doing that, they're going to like it better.
And this is how Fortune headlined it. Sanders wants American public to own a piece of AI. Trump White House seems to agree. For Sanders, it's about establishing democratic control over the AI companies, giving the government the power through its voting shares and an equal representation on each company's board. For Trump, it's the profit motive. For Bernie, it is about the public being able to block decisions that can potentially hurt citizens. For Trump, it is ensuring a pie of the trillions of dollars that AI can potentially generate. That was not the first time, however, that Trump has been forced to match steps with Bernie Sanders. In March, the senators sponsored another legislation that would have stopped all data centers from being built unless they subjected themselves to regulation. Trump administration had to make the big tech firms to agree to financing their own energy needs to shield people from high electricity costs. A day after Bernie's announcement, the White House passed an executive order making AI firms submit their new AI engines to the government for a 30 days free trial for a safety check before releasing them to public. The argument is that without these safeguards and these regulatory legislations, AI is one big steal, stealing all of humanity's knowledge, metaverse, through bottom scraping of the internet by these large language models called LLMs, and then to sell that same knowledge back to people through agentic AI backed by massive compute power. One big charge against capitalism has been the inequalities it perpetuates. With AI, the scale has become mind-blowing. There's an obscene and dangerous accumulation of wealth that AI brings and can perpetuate. Proof of which came this week itself. Elon Musk has become the world's first dollar trillionaire through his SpaceX IPO, even as Anthropic and OpenAI have filed to go public with share prices valuing them at near $1 trillion mark. With AI, it is both creation of wealth and transfer of wealth. It is in the backdrop of these valuations and the transfer of wealth that American government having stakes in private corporations needs to be seen. Ironic as it may seem for capitalism, the idea has existed in all of recorded human history, going back to Aristotle and Kautilya. Just as we need the government to balance between profit motive and larger good in the auto and pharma industries, so we need that in the case of AI. If anything, even more than other industries. Even in the United States, just a century ago, electricity distribution had to be nationalized in 1930, as the private corporations were not willing to service rural America. A decade before that, the American government took control of the telephone and telegraph services for security and strategic considerations during the World War I. So the idea of government taking over corporations in larger interest is not wholly communist or un-American. Guess what? There's a history even with Trump. As per some reports, the White House, under the most right-wing president in US history, already has ownership stakes in at least 20 private companies, including the pre-AI era computer behemoth, Intel and IBM. Sanders just wants that stake to be redistributed to people through the public fund. And that's where it goes left. Is that new capitalism then? Is it socialism? Is it capitalism only with a visible hand? Or as the Chinese would call it, capitalism with Chinese characteristics. Lest this be seen just as an American phenomenon. Governments world over are trying to grapple with this paradigm shift. The United Kingdom and Singapore have deployed their sovereign wealth funds to build positions in many AI and ancillary infrastructure companies since 2023. But experts believe this has as much danger of making governments stakeholders in perpetuating the AI race, become equal partners in crime rather than a standoffish regulator with a stick. The fiduciary relationship might weigh heavier than their regulator role on the minds of the public boards of these corporations. When a public resource generates wealth, like AI does, the public should share in that wealth. Sovereign wealth funds seem like good vehicles for want of better options for now. So if private AI companies, political left and the right, the executive and the Pope, all are on the same page, what's the fuss about? Just give it a pause, I say. Moving on. Early this week, Imphal saw a significant social mobilization with people taking to its streets demanding the updation of the 1951 National Register of Citizens before the ongoing census is taken up. This seemed like flowing against the tide because mainstream narrative has sought to project NRC as some kind of tool in the hands of the BJP government to reduce the minorities into second-class citizens in the country. Like so much else, one size does not fit all in India. So the Manipuris, except for cookies, have believed for long that any population enumeration exercise undertaken without identifying genuine citizens would be counterproductive. Given that the turmoil of last 2 years in the state is directly connected with demography, it could further complicate the political challenges. The protest rally was organized by 14 civil society organizations under the banner of CSOs, Kanglepak, and called for immediate intervention by the center. As can be seen, protesters carried placards bearing messages such as "Only updation of NRC can save Manipur" or "No NRC, no census." The anxieties are real. BJP's Rajya Sabha candidate Sarla Devi, while filing her nomination this same week, said she would do everything to guard Manipur's territorial integrity as a member of parliament. That her own party is in power in both Imphal and New Delhi shows how heavy the concerns weigh in the minds of Manipuris. In Manipur, demographic anxieties are not new. They have shaped political discourse for decades and have intensified after the conflict that erupted in May 2023. Manipur shares a long and porous border with Myanmar, and decades of instability in Myanmar have undeniably produced movement across the frontier. The Manipur issue cannot be resolved without taking the bull of infiltration from Myanmar by its horns, and NRC seems like a good vehicle for that exercise. While the media focus largely remains on illegal infiltration from Bangladesh, the threat is equally immediate and tangible from Myanmar in Manipur. Sharing a porous 400 kilometers long border with the neighboring country, the state has seen a surge of migrants fleeing conflict since the February 2021 military coup there. While the national numbers may seem modest, around 75,000 since the coup, even this figure is significant in a state of just 3 million residents. Plus, the specter of cross-national allegiances makes it all the more complicated. The trans-border kinship of Kukis, Zo communities complicates labeling their migration as illegal without inflaming ethnic fault lines further. So the Meitei and Naga communities perceive Myanmar origin migration as an existential threat, not merely a political issue. Ignoring it in favor of the Bangladesh-focused narrative has exacerbated the alienation that they feel. New Delhi recently hosted the Myanmarese president U Min Aung Hlaing, and some talks did happen on border management. It is a fine balancing act between the imperatives of a strategic stance on Myanmar given its geography and the need for communal peace in Manipur. It is high time the illegals along the Myanmar border are treated at par with those from Bangladesh. The center can leverage its recent experience with extinguishing the left-wing extremism or Maoism from the country to bring normalcy to the strife-torn state. Electoral politics may drive the center's focus on Bengal or Assam and Bangladesh, but survival politics dictates Manipur's reality. While the BJP bats for NRC nationally, it's been rather silent on the issue of Manipur. It's time the ambiguity is publicly given up. Moving to the next one. Elon Musk is a demography skeptic who believes humanity might go extinct not because of some asteroid hitting planet Earth, but because we are not procreating enough to keep the generations coming in. In line with his belief, he put out this post showing India's fertility rates were down below replacement levels. He is contributing to the debate himself by having more and more children, 9 at last count. Musk's post came in the midst of the global financial paper The Economist publishing 2 columns on India's population paradox in its latest issue. The Economist makes 2 points. One, that while India is the most populous nation in the world and not an advanced economy, yet its population was showing signs of tapering faster than similarly placed economies elsewhere in the world, and also aging as fast as the developed countries. The articles were occasioned by the release of a report by the Office of Registrar General of India as part of the ongoing census exercise. The sum total of this spotlight is that now we know for sure that as a society we are not making enough babies and we are going to have too many elderly too soon. There can be economic consequences for these developments. Young fire the economic engine, while the elderly tax the pension system. The replacement level of fertility is crucial in maintaining a balanced demographic structure where the number of births roughly equals the number of deaths. This balance ensures a stable workforce to support an aging population and prevents the economic and social challenges that arise from a shrinking population base. There's regional disparity along the lines of other development parameters on this front too. South India, for example, leads the decline in fertility levels vis-a-vis North. Bihar still has the highest TFR at 3, followed by Uttar Pradesh at 2.7 and Madhya Pradesh at 2.6. But states like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Kerala are well below national average at around 1.5. South India is essentially entering the same demographic phase that Japan and parts of Europe experienced decades ago. The difference is that these Indian states are facing this transition at a lower level of per capita income, which creates unique policy challenges. Trained for decades at population control, the Indian state apparatus and health departments have to do a U-turn now and bat for more population. Thankfully, some states are showing prescience. Andhra Pradesh, led by very futuristic Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu, notified a new population policy last month. In a first-of-its-kind decision addressing the state's declining fertility rate, his government would provide financial assistance to families choosing to have 3 or more children. Andhra would provide a one-time incentive of Rs 30,000 on the birth of a 3rd child and Rs 40,000 for the birth of a 4th child. Goa, Karnataka and Telangana have brought in state-funded IVF treatment schemes. So policy shift is in the works. And when talking of demography, can politics be far behind? The delimitation exercise that would redistrict Lok Sabha constituencies is loaded against thinly populated states. Then there's the issue of faith-based fertility rates, with the Muslim population in the country still above TFR vis-a-vis other religious cohorts. This might get reflected in the new census figures in terms of increased proportion of Muslim population in the country. A debate nevertheless. Thanks for watching.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
यानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बढ़ाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
सबका राजा RDefence
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization?
प्यास बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाए जीरा से MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से
जीरा सिप असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MTH
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, everyday.
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma, who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, The ex-judge walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
A very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching Republic TV. This is Shivam Dutt Mehta, and the top focus today will be PM Modi's visit to France, and also PM Modi will be meeting President Trump very soon. We'll get you all the details of that too, and a lot more. But first up, let's have a look at the top headlines of the hour. Rebel TMC MP meet with Shubhendu postponed after Bengal CM Shubhendu cancels Delhi visit. CID summons Abhishek Banerjee in connection with signature forgery case. Earlier, Abhishek Banerjee was questioned for nearly 6 hours. Maharashtra Home Department initiate probe, cyber police to conduct thorough investigation of all his content on digital platforms. Uddhav Thackeray calls for meeting with MPs amid speculation that 7 of UBT MPs are in contact with Shinde faction. And Modi set to hold bilateral talks with French President Macron. Defense, civil, nuclear energy innovation on agenda. Donald Trump says US-Iran deal to be signed on Sunday. Today, Iran refutes claim, says signing will not take place on Sunday. All right, viewers, let's begin this bulletin with a very big development that we are getting from the Strait of Hormuz amidst the ongoing conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another big story coming in from the Strait of Hormuz, where a 35-year-old Indian sailor, Nishant, from Tamil Nadu, passed away on June 11 after falling seriously ill. And his body has remained on board for over 2 days with no proper refrigeration. Now, crew is using cold water bottles in a desperate attempt to slow the decomposition, and a horrifying and health-risking situation. He passed away on June 11 after falling seriously ill. His body has remained on board for over 2 days with no proper refrigeration. Now, crew is using cold water bottles in a desperate attempt to slow decomposition, which is a horrifying and health-risking situation. A very sad story, very sad development that we are getting from the Strait of Hormuz, and this is about the Indian seafarers and the risk that they are taking because of the ongoing conflict, ladies and gentlemen. And a sailor, a seafarer, has died in this case, and the second officer has died in this case. He was seriously ill, but because of the situation, he could not receive treatment. Now, let's listen in to the reaction and the appeal of the Indian seafarers who are stuck in the Strait of Hormuz, desperately calling for help.
मैं सेलेस्टियल सी वेसल का मैं कैप्टन हूं, और ये हमारा सेकंड ऑफिसर की बॉडी है, डेड बॉडी 2 दिन हो चुका है। अब ये बॉडी डिकम्पोज होना शुरू हो गया, लेकिन अभी हमारे कुछ ऐसा पॉजिटिव रिस्पांस नहीं मिला। हमने कांटेक्ट किया इंडियन एम्बेसी को भी, लेकिन अभी तक हमें जो एक पॉजिटिव रिस्पांस होना चाहिए वो दिखाई नहीं दे रहा। कंपनी टोटली हाइड हो गई है, कोई रिस्पांसिबिलिटी नहीं ले रही है। तो हो सके तो इस मैसेज को जितना फॉरवर्ड करो ताकि हमारे साथ कुछ जल्दी से जल्दी कार्रवाई, अदरवाइज हमारे जो सेकंड ऑफिसर का डेड बॉडी है वो जल्दी से जल्दी स्पॉइल हो जाएगा। तो प्लीज आप लोग इस मैसेज को जितना सर्कुलेट करेंगे शायद अच्छा उतना हमारे लिए होगा। अपना डुकम पोर्ट है, ओमान के अंदर पड़ता है, वहां पे हम एंकर पे हैं, बहुत क्लोज एंकर पे हैं। तो जो जितना जल्दी हो सके प्लीज कोई न कोई एक्शन हमें मिले।
The video, very sad video of the officer who died because of not getting the proper treatment, the support that he required, because he didn't get the support that he required because of being stuck in the Strait of Hormuz. All right, let's go across to our guest for a comment on what's really unfolding and for all the latest updates on this. We are being joined by Mr. Manoj Yadav, who is the FSUI Secretary. Manoj Yadav, Mr. Yadav, because the situation is quite tense, it's quite volatile, but this is the fate. This is very sorry state, and we feel very sad to look at the pictures. A young man died because he could not receive treatment, and because his ship, his vessel is struck in the Strait of Hormuz, and they have no proper refrigeration facility even for the dead body which is decomposing. Very sad incident. So what exactly is happening, Mr. Manoj Yadav?
Well, I can say this is the toughest time for the seafarers who all are in the conflict zone. One side, they are facing a continuous missile attack and drone attack. Another side, they are not getting a proper medical care. That's what I'm continuously raising this alarm from the day this war initiated. This is really a situation, a worsening situation, when I received a call from the master. And I got this, the first video, and then later on, I realized the death was occurred on the 11th, I believe, at evening 1600 hours. From the time they are continuously communicating with the port.com and trying to reach out for the help. It is quite unfortunate. Neither their Wi-Fi is working, nor their GPS is working, nor their AIS system is working. And a company which is, I can say, a shadow company of a global tanker. And they are forcing them to proceed towards the Khor-Fakkan, as we have witnessed in this week, where the vessels were trying to approach, or whether they were on the way towards those area, got badly attacked from the US missile. So the master and the crew was very under pressure, and they decided not to proceed to take another risk from the US missiles and all. And unfortunate is that from the last 3 months, around 100 days, these vessels are continuously facing the shortage of the food and the water, and the vessel was on the rational basis. It is today, till now, I have spoken with the master nearly half an hour before. They haven't received any boat, in spite of that communication received to them from the Indian embassy that boat will come to take the mortal remains. But it is really, you can see there are no freezer, how they are facing situation.
Okay. Mr. Yadav, as an FSUI secretary, what steps have been taken by the FSUI? Are you demanding immediate action? What are the plans that are in place to rescue the sailors who are stuck in such a scenario? And especially, it's a humanitarian crisis where a dead body cannot be taken out because there is a war that is ongoing. It's very sad, Mr. Manoj Yadav.
Absolutely. I have raised this concern not only with our Honorable Prime Minister, but also with the Marine Department of the Oman also, that it's their duty as to, even it's a duty of the US also, understanding a young boy of 37-year-old is waiting, mortal is waiting on board without any preservation and without, so we can understand in last 3 days what condition and what mental pressure the other seafarers are facing on board. This is not, this is beyond any war, this is beyond any geopolitical situation. Anybody, any country nearby, whether it is that Marine Center in Dokam Port also, they can initiate and they can coordinate with the US Navy, and they can assist those to get back their mortal remains by providing them the boat.
All right, Mr. Yadav, thanks a lot for a comment, and we hope there will be pressure from your department also, from your institution also, and from us also, because the action needs to be taken place. However, the situation is quite volatile, it's quite tense, but still it's a humanitarian crisis and needs to be looked at. All right, let's move on to another big breaking news development that we are getting right now. It is about Modi and Trump meet. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump will hold a bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the G7 summit in France at 6:15 p.m. on Wednesday. That is what we are getting, the 17th of June. The meeting will mark the first face-to-face interaction between the two leaders since the February 2025, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited President Trump following his victory in November 2024 US presidential elections. According to officials, the trade deal, which has been under negotiation for several months, is expected to be discussed during the bilateral meeting. The talks will also take place against the backdrop of growing tensions over the Iran war, which has had significant economic repercussions for India, and relations have come under further pressure following recent US attack that killed 3 Indian seafarers. All right, we also have graphics on this, and Ishita is also joining us from the newsroom for all the latest updates. All right, Ishita, what's the update now? It's getting confirmed that the Prime Minister is going to meet Donald Trump, that is President of the United States, and what can be in the agenda, and it will be happening on 17th. What's the latest, Ishita?
Right. Now it's now been confirmed by the White House that a bilateral meet will take place between our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump. This will be on the sidelines of the G7 summit on 17. That's a Wednesday. And according to our Indian Standard Time, it's going to be at 6:15 IST, 6:15 PM essentially. So that's when the bilateral meeting is scheduled for both the leaders. Now remember, this comes right after their last meeting, which took place in February of last year, which was right after Donald Trump had won the presidential elections. But if you look at this meeting, Shivam, timing is key here because of the past 1 year, there have been several points of friction which have marred the relations between New Delhi and Washington. The ties have not been steady, whether it was about US imposing steep tariffs on India, whether it was Donald Trump claiming that he helped broker a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, and also the recent attacks that we've seen in Gulf that have killed about 3 Indian seafarers. So these are the points of friction that have emerged between the ties as far as New Delhi and Washington are concerned. So this is something that will likely come up on the agenda between the bilateral meeting between the two leaders, and also there's trade talks. Now we have seen that the interim deal was finalized, but yet final agreement is yet to come. So trade talks are also something that's going to come up for the discussion between the two leaders, and of course all eyes will be on the Modi-Trump bilateral. What are the kind of issues that both the leaders take up at a time when the ties between New Delhi and Washington have not been really very steady.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ishita, for all the latest development. Keep tracking all the developments. We'll come back to you as more details unfold. All right, now let's move on to another big development that we are getting from West Bengal, and this is about Trinamool Congress. And Trinamool Congress General Secretary and Lok Sabha MP Abhishek Banerjee will appear before CID in connection with the signature forgery case. Now, the case pertains to allegations that signatures of TMC MLAs were fabricated on a party resolution submitted to the Assembly Speaker for the selection of leader of opposition. Now, this comes after Banerjee was questioned for nearly 6 hours at the CID headquarters in South Kolkata on Thursday. Now, Abhishek had earlier skipped 3 summons issued on June 1, June 8 and June 9. Now, his legal team had informed the agency that he was unwell and in Delhi. Now, earlier on Thursday, the Calcutta High Court granted interim protection from coercive action to Banerjee in the case. But this is also big, the latest development that we are getting, the signature forgery case, where 14 signatures were found in block letters. That's what we are getting. It's the signature forgery case, and that's the reason of the crisis and the anger, the fury of the TMC members who are leaving TMC, and also Mamata Banerjee is losing control of the party because of that. MLAs have clearly alleged document fabrication in this case, and CID is probing the entire matter, and Abhishek's submitted docs are under probe, and it is being investigated, and questions are a series of summons, ladies and gentlemen. On June 14, in the 4-signature case, he was summoned by the CID in this case. On June 15, primary teacher recruitment case summoned by ED. That's what we are getting. June 16, inflammation speech case summoned by CID. That's the latest that we are getting. Big development in this case. Inflammatory speech case summoned by CID. In this case also CID summons Abhishek in this case. Big development coming in from West Bengal, ladies and gentlemen. On your screen, ladies and gentlemen, these are the developments coming in from West Bengal. Series of summons, allegations of forged signatures being submitted to the Speaker. That is what we are getting. So lots of developments. CID summons Abhishek, and Abhishek has sent the resolution to the Speaker, and TMC leader Kunal Ghosh also asked to appear before the CID in this case. Lots of development that we are getting in this case. Abhishek Banerjee has been summoned again. That is what we are getting in this case. Abhishek has been summoned again, once again by the CID. Now, there's another summon. This means more trouble for Abhishek Banerjee. More trouble for Abhishek Banerjee in this case. Now, also, there have been ED summons for Abhishek Banerjee in the primary teachers recruitment scam probe also. That is also the thing that will be investigated. So, lots of developments that we are getting in this entire matter. a series of summons. That's what we are getting. On June 14, the summon is for one matter, and June 15 for the primary teacher recruitment case. He has been summoned in this case by ED. All right, let's watch a report on all the developments that we are getting on the TMC front on what's exactly happening with Abhishek Banerjee. Let's watch this report.
For fresh questioning on June 14 in the alleged signature forgery case. The summons comes a day after Banerjee appeared before CID officers following directions from the Calcutta High Court. Sources say investigators were dissatisfied with his responses and sought further clarification on key aspects of the probe. CID claims Banerjee repeatedly answered, "I do not know," when questioned about the disputed assembly resolution. Investigators are examining how signatures of legislators allegedly absent from a May 6 meeting appeared on the document. The agency is also seeking details on who signed the resolution and where the original copy is located.
All right, viewers, now it's time to slip into a short commercial break, but don't go anywhere because we have a lot more lined up coming up after the break. PM Modi set to hold bilateral talks with French President Macron. Defense, civil, nuclear energy, innovation on the agenda. Coming up next, more details on that.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा प्योर मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी। चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया? आया।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel this man, this accused rapist, is one of our own. So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him, we will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive and the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then, this is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from the BJP and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape and people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there, ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this moment will be the black spot on your career. And therefore, my point is to those who call themselves right-wingers. You cannot be right-wingers, say you're fighting for the right and be supporting lynchers and rapists at the same time. You cannot have this attitude that if you are pro-Hindu, then if someone who is a Hindu or from a Hindu organization commits the most ghastly crime, you will say,
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट, ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े,
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरी राजा।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide. Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी। चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ स्वाद आया? आया।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा RDefence मसाला।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero. As if he achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling?
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. I have the privilege of addressing you on behalf of the Tourism Department, Government of Maharashtra, and the Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation, the Director of Tourism. On behalf of the Honorable Tourism Minister, Mr. Shambhuraj Desai, the State Minister, Shri Indralin Naik, and the visionary leadership of our Principal Additional Chief Secretary, Shri Sanjay Kandare, Mr. Nilesh Gatne, the Managing Director of MTDC, and Mr. Mangesh Joshi, the Director of Tourism, Government of Maharashtra. I would like to welcome you on behalf of Maharashtra Tourism to this ImagiNext, the festival of India's Festival of Technology and Innovation. It is my honor to formally announce that the Government of Maharashtra's Tourism Department is the state partner for ImagiNext. The tourism policy of Maharashtra, which was set in 2024, is all set to attract an investment of more than 1 lakh crore rupees by the year 2030. We have already welcomed more than 37 lakhs foreign tourists in the last count which we did, and this was the biggest as far as the country is concerned. Not only that, we have a target of creating 18 lakhs new jobs, and we also have an estimated and 18.9 crore foreign domestic visitors who came to Maharashtra in the year 2024. I thank you all once again for coming here. Maharashtra is becoming the center where India's innovation, capital and ambition coverage. Tourism is one of the most visible expressions of that. On behalf of the Tourism Department, Government of Maharashtra, I welcome you all again to the ImagiNext 2026. Thank you, Jai Hind and Jai Maharashtra. Thank you very much.
There is no other Indian founder positioned to answer the question this fireside is built around: what does it actually mean to build technology that India owns? In conversation with the founder and chief scientist of Zoho Corporation, Sridhar Vembu. Please welcome them on stage.
Yesterday you put out a tweet saying that warning against AI becoming a crutch. Why are you against AI? What are you afraid of its potential impact on software developers, on young professionals? Do you think there needs to be some limit put onto AI, and are you working on anything in that sense?
Yeah.
Mr. Vembu.
So I use AI pretty heavily. So for my own, a lot of it I'll say research, reviews. For example, I'll give it some piece of code and ask it to review. It's an excellent reviewer. It can surface ideas that you hadn't thought of. So in that sense, I'm actually a heavy user. I call myself, I pay for 2 of the AI subscriptions too. So, but the tweet was about high school students losing mathematics skills because they are not learning mathematics, they are learning to rely on AI, basically. And actually speaking, more broadly, we run a school in our village in K-12. We do not emphasize technology until kids get older. I think exposing kids to too much technology too young is detrimental. And it's not just me. Steve Jobs believed the same thing. Steve Jobs did not want his own kids using the iPad, all of that too young. And likewise with AI, they have to learn basic skills. You have to learn how to read and write and do calculations, arithmetic, all of that, without relying on the crutch of getting AI to write it for you, write a letter, all this. And this is not just old-fashioned thinking, because now a lot of research is coming that we lose skills, we even lose the judgment if we are not in it.
I spoke about information sovereignty. Let's not be dependent on the West for the narrative. We're speaking about sovereignty at a time when FDI inflows are negative. When suddenly there is a war, you feel the dollar is becoming stronger, and you are suddenly concerned about your overall, your forex reserves. And at the end of the day, my worry is, Mr. Vembu, that Silicon Valley has too much control over us. We are fooling ourselves by saying, oh, we are building our own way model. We don't need our sovereign models. We are a market. We are the best to apply their technology. Are we living in a fool's paradise?
I will speak from a historic point of view. When you ship cheap raw material, import the value-added finished product, that was the foundation of the East India Company. And we know how that turned out for us, right? When you give somebody else your cheap raw material, and all of the value addition is happening elsewhere and we are importing it, that's the foundation of the colonial economics, and that's how the East India Company came to rule over this continent. So that's why it's important that it's not merely that we are consuming somebody else's creation, it is the value we are shipping, it is the dependency we create. And I have said this openly, the risk is for us, Google or Microsoft or Amazon and Facebook, all of these companies become the new East India Company. And we have to be aware of this risk. That's a very real risk. It is not something mythical I just invented. And given our own history, we must be aware of this. And don't be fooled by the fact that there is an Indian CEO at the top. That's irrelevant to the discussion. It is whose laws, whose sovereignty, whose jurisdiction. It all matters. So it's very important to keep this in mind.
We've seen Oracle, Meta, Amazon, Cisco all announcing these major layoffs in the face of AI. You've been arguing that all of this is being done to accommodate and service the cost of AI itself, the cost of the hardware, the cost of the servers.
Correct.
So your argument is that people are being laid off by companies to service their investments in AI rather than as a productivity miracle. But what we should, AI was meant about improving productivity. So let me ask you the question on productivity. What is Sridhar Vembu doing, as much as you can say, on this critical word of productivity? Because if we are going to grow towards being a Viksit Bharat, we have to find our own Bharatiya model of productivity.
Right.
So what are you doing on that?
Productivity is the key to prosperity. For a given amount of time, how much work we get done, how much we produce, all of that, that's the key to prosperity. It's also the key to having free time, all of that. If we can get machines to do some of the work, we get some free time. That's foundational. But then there's energy, all of that, energy use, all of those questions arise. I do believe we can be much more productive, even in software development, with very low energy intensity. That I believe with the conviction. So that's what is driving a lot of our R&D. We can actually make software development more productive without spending all these tokens, huge amount of energy spent on it, all of that. Now coming to the topic you asked about the layoffs, it's actually this is not just speculation on my part. We are seeing the exact cost pressures. We have a data center right here in Mumbai. Most of our Zoho traffic either served out of Mumbai or Chennai, and we ping pong between them. So the current server cost right now, if we buy the same identical specification, is about 3 to 4 times as expensive as 6 months ago. In order to serve a single Zoho user, thousands of users, we need to buy servers. Those servers, normal servers, nothing to do with AI, they have become 3 to 4 times expensive because of memory. Memory prices went up because of AI. So AI sucked all the memory, and ordinary servers became expensive. Now we are in this uncomfortable position. Should we have to raise the prices, or should we cut some other cost? So many of the companies that face the cost pressure, we are private, so we don't have to report to Wall Street or Dalal Street all the time, so we don't have to worry about this because we can take less profit. But companies that are public have to report profit, so they control the one item they control, which is payroll. So they lay off employees. This is actually the primary reason for a lot of layoffs. The cost of all this equipment, capital, all of that, the capital capex has become more expensive. AI itself has also become very expensive, as Microsoft recently admitted. These two are driving the layoffs in an attempt to cost control. Again, this cannot go on forever. You cannot lay off everyone and be a company, Like Facebook laid off, 10% or 15% of staff. How many more 10, 15% they can go? So that's why I think there is a point at which they'll have to stop, even they will have to stop and reevaluate what we are doing with AI, all of that. Which is where our investment in intelligence without the energy expenditure, I'm going to call it, or energy efficient intelligence. It's very possible. We are doing R&D. By its nature, it's long-term, very, what you call, you cannot predict exact results.
Right.
Whenever you invest in R&D,
Yeah.
but I have been working on this for last few years.
Yeah.
We're making very good progress. My team is making very good progress. That's about all I can say right now. I never want to hype anything up. We hope to be successful at it. That's how I say.
Let's give him a round of applause, a stronger one than that. Thank you very much, Mr. Vembu, for being an absolute visionary and for being just so original with everything. Sridhar Vembu, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Three educators on stage who do not agree on the answer. Moderated by the founder of ImagineNext, Deepak Lamba. Let's welcome our guests on stage.
So today I want to separate the idea of reform from the reality of reform. Three people on stage, three very different bets on what the new school should be. I'll start with you, Shadrach. You've spent decades working on learning for people outside the formal system. Farmers, factory workers, informal sector. The conversation about AI and education is almost entirely about universities. So, what's the conversation we are not having?
I think it's a very interesting question. Now, of the billion people who are contributing to the economy, of which 800 million people are in the informal sector, who contribute almost 50% of Indian economy. And they are forgotten. What we are always talking about is the 43 million who come into the tertiary system. And the question about degree depreciating, AI taking over, the conversation between the old school, where the universities are situated, and the new school, the new forms of learning, is actually a fallacy when it comes to these 800 million people who are not in any system.
Right.
And if you look at the school system, we are talking about 280 million children in the schools, but 280 more million young people who are not in education, employment and training. So for me, the true school, not the old school, not the new school, the true school has to be something very inclusive that enables us to recognize a variety of things. What the new school does not do, AI-based schools, and not the old school which is too slow, whereas the new school is too shallow. Now when it comes to the true school, we need to really think about the need for them to learn, to be in the lifelong learning paradigm, and design systems that cater to them in a manner that they can seamlessly, without having to leave their workplaces, but continue to learn so that they continue to be relevant and contribute to the economy without being pushed out.
You know, what does education for jobs that exist in 2030, what will it look like and who is it for? You know, you've been at Google Brain, you've been at Yahoo Labs, founded an edtech startup, you're now running an institute. You've spent about 2 decades seeing AI from inside the industry. What does a curriculum that actually prepares students for an AI-first economy look like according to you?
So today our graduates' main goal is to become a professional test taker, right? We are preparing for NEET exam, JEE exam, board exam, all the exams. Nobody is studying for the sake of studying or learning. We are studying for the sake of exams, right? Because that is the metric we have given. So let me give you a new set of metrics. How many Nobel Prizes India has produced? 12. Last 100 years, 100 billion people have produced only 12 Nobel Prizes. Israel has produced 14 Nobel Prizes. What is the highest ranking Indian university in the world ranking is IIT Delhi this year. Rank is 123. The top Indian university is ranked 123. Singapore has produced 2 universities in top 15. How many unicorns have we produced? We look at, digital unicorns, we have 4. And obviously US has more than 1,000, right? So the right metrics will define the right education system. There are 2 very important qualities of students we want to produce, right? One is, and this quality is coming from Buddha. For me, Buddha is a great innovator. And he did 2 things very important. One was, he figured out the right problem to solve, right? When he figured out that there is a sick man, dying man, he realized that there must be a core problem to be solved, and that's what great innovators do. Today, our students are not aware of the problems to be solved in the country. For them, the problem to be solved is an IIT rank or a JEE rank, not, the suicides of our farmers and, not access to our, and pollutions and all of that, right? And that is the kind of innovators we want to produce, and we are not producing them. And that's why we are getting, the numbers we are getting.
Pearson is already in 5,000 existing institutions, right? How do you change a system that already exists without blowing it up? Pearson has been in India 25 years, textbooks, curriculum, assessments. You're now positioning yourself as digital first. What's actually changed in the way students learn? What does Pearson know about learning outcomes today that you did not know 5 years ago?
From our perspective, things have changed dramatically. Technology is taking over in all of it, and especially some of it I'll just very briefly touch upon. AI, we had embedded this into our English language testing curriculum, testing quite some time back. We had put it in so there is no bias in evaluation of English language learning. But what's happening when you come to higher education, we are now not just giving a content, we are giving a AI-enabled content to them. So people can ask questions, it can summarize the text, it can elaborate on a particular topic, you can do on-the-go assessments for yourselves, video-based learning, and those are the things that we have not created just by ourselves, but it is what the students or the institutions are asking.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We have on stage the founder and CEO of Gabit, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, and along with him, Dr. Nikhil Jakatdar, founder, Gene Path Diagnostics. This session will be moderated by the founder of ImagineX, Mr. Deepak Lamba. May we please have a round of applause for the gentleman. Thank you.
Gaurav, you've built Gabit to bring AI health to consumers, wearables, coaching, nutrition. The honest question, how much of what Gabit does is actually AI and how much of it is wellness with a tech layer on top? What can your platform actually prove it does for health outcomes?
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. Gabit is one word for good habits. Health is all about good habits, so that's why we coined it. So I think you can understand the genesis. We want to do stuff that you can do for life to improve your health. It's not about the faddish things that spike up today and go away tomorrow. It's about something that you can follow for life. I think when we talk about AI, we should actually talk about what is the purpose AI is serving for what we're trying to do. And I'll give you a few examples of what we've done and how we've used it. And I think it's served different purposes. It's not the same thing. So first of all, if you build a product, you have to make it easy to use. Otherwise, we will not use it. Like humans are lazy. We're all lazy. We want the least effort and the maximum outcome. So when you design a product, you actually think about how can you make it easy. Gabit integrates fitness, nutrition, sleep, stress, VO2 max, resting heart rate, a lot of metrics. And people started asking questions, what is VO2 max? What is resting heart rate? What does it even mean? What is a good resting heart rate? There is where we used AI to personalize or help people at scale. We built an AI health coach. The name of the coach is Pep. So you can talk to Pep. You can understand what these metrics mean. So that's another way of helping people understand this. And then I'll talk about it later a little bit more, but it goes beyond that. So today, one, of course, AI can talk to you so you understand it easily, but it also helps you understand history and find correlations. So now we've built Gabit into a platform where you can track 150 markers on one platform. So we have the smart ring, which some of you would know. And we also have blood tests on the platform. We have a smart scale. We have CGM. So you can track 150 markers. And now we use AI to help you assess across all these markers in one place. Because today, without Gabit, you would actually do this on 4 different platforms, even globally.
You came to genomics through personal loss, your mother's cancer. GenePath is trying to democratize diagnostics previously available only to wealthy patients. What does AI actually make possible in cancer detection today that was impossible 5 years ago?
Yeah, so both my parents were diagnosed with cancer. First my mother, then my father. My mother was diagnosed at stage 2. And breast cancer at stage 2 in the US has a 90% survival rate. So if you are caught at stage 2, there's a 90% chance 5 years later you're still alive. In India, that percentage is 69%. For many years, people thought, and this was true when my mom was diagnosed, she passed away. She should never have passed away. Because the one thing I learned, and I was not in that space 11 years back, what I learned is if 20 women have breast cancer, we treat it as one cancer. But 20 breast cancers are 20 different diseases. This woman's breast cancer is because of this mutation. That woman's breast cancer is because of a different mutation. But for so many years, they were all given the exact same chemotherapy. Right. And the ones who happened to have that match succeeded. The ones who didn't, they did not. And they said, yeah, it's cancer. But it's not cancer. It is, you have to understand what it takes to solve it. Those answers exist. But doctors have to find a way to keep up to speed. And it is not physically possible to read every paper that comes out. And so what I'm finding is what AI is helping with is put together all this data, make it accessible to doctors to be able to now get that much smarter. It should be a really good assistant to doctors who are motivated to keep up.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed this chat. I wish you could continue.
To have you here with us, to all of us out here and the digital audiences who will be watching us. Now, before we get started, I think cumulatively on this stage, there's over 100 years of hindsight experience that comes about when it comes to the Indian IT space.
100 years each or 100 years cumulatively?
Cumulatively, I said cumulatively. I knew you'll catch me on that. So cumulatively over 100 years. And through the past few decades, there have been a lot of these buzzwords that have come about, right? We had the BBSs, the bulletin board systems that came in. Then you had the information superhighway. You had the Y2K, the dot-com boom, the IT boom, cloud, a few more that you have tried to forget possibly. So is AI this decade's entry, or is it, in the Dilbert fashion, a truly epochal paradigm shift?
It is going to change the way we look at the world, organizations, our own careers. So there's no doubt it's a paradigm shift. How long it will take us, whether the reality will actually justify the hype that is today there, I think that's something we still have to wait and see. But clearly reimagination, re-engineering, re-architecting, everything's on the cards with artificial intelligence.
Lovely. Mr. Chandrasekhar?
Yeah, I do think that it's qualitatively different from all the other revolutions which we talk about, whether it is the industrial revolution or the steam engine or electricity. Because of the fact that it comes very close to the characteristics which human beings prided themselves on. Mm-hmm. Intelligence, cognition, the ability to think, the ability to solve problems. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it has really led us to a point of where we say, what is it that technology will do and what is it that we do, and is there anything that we can do which it can't do? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it very different, and it's the pace at which it is growing. Mm-hmm. It's increasing. Uh-huh. And as has often been said, when AI starts building AI, then it's going to be even more exponential. Uh-huh. So I think we are confronted with very basic questions of what it means to be human. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that memory was slowly discounted when computers and memory chips and all that came. Now we are seeing even intelligence getting discounted. So if all this is commoditized, what do people do is a big question. So that's why it's fundamentally different, is my belief.
Excellent. Two overwhelming positive notes. Mr. Purushottam?
For sure, it's a paradigm shift. Maybe let me take three different dimensions. One, for sure, is convergence power. I don't think there is any other technology which is more convergent than this one, because whether we talk of biotech, whether we talk of energy, whether we talk of climate, whether we talk of manufacturing, AI has become a new horizontal. Mm-hmm. And adding significant value to each of the tech which is already in play for years together. The second part of it is the economic value or impact it has created. Over the last 3-4 years, whatever we call it chat GPT moment, if you look at today's investment in the market, say around $700 billion or $800 billion this year in US itself, and if you remove that element of growth in the US markets, you will be left with almost like stagnancy, which would mean like if there is no AI in terms of economics, there is possibly hardly any economics left, at least in the terms of market valuation. I'm not saying in terms of impact, but then in terms of purely in terms of the economic understanding of investments or returns, whichever way you count it. Third dimension is more around geopolitics and social. Now, I have been to Davos so many times in the last 4 years. This topic remains the highest topic. And certainly Davos is a geopolitical event.
Yeah.
And there is no discussion which is happening without the mention of or impact of AI. Whether you are a part of Chinese ecosystem or whether you are a part of US ecosystem, or the elements of sovereignty and other things which goes around geopolitics,
right,
is certainly becoming the main element of what we call a paradigm shift. So there has been no such moment which has sustained at least for so many number of years, which has created these dimensions across.
This is the panel that captures the essence of what the last 2 days have been. It's been an overwhelming reality check as to what the possibilities are and what the steps are to reach that goal. And please give a big round of applause to our panelists out here who have joined here this evening. It's been a pleasure to have Mr. Chandrasekhar, Dr. Narayanan, and Mr. Purushottam join us here at ImagineX 2026. And we'll certainly look forward to rechecking this video in ImagineX 2030 to figure out how many of our thinking was on track, since everything's on video. On that note, you've been a wonderful audience. We wish you a lovely weekend. And once again, a big round of applause to all for you as well.
Before I sign off officially, we'd like to once again thank our main sponsors, Maharashtra Tourism, and officially call this a wrap on India 2030, on Stage 1, and on ImagineX 2026.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag? in her hand or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge...
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Repel TMC MP meet with Suvendu Adhikari postponed after Bengal as CM Suvendu cancels a Delhi visit. TMC's Abhishek Banerjee reaches CID office in Kolkata, set to be questioned in signature forgery case. Maharashtra Home Department initiates a probe. Cyber Police to now conduct investigation of all the content put out by comedian Praneet More. Uddhav Thackeray calls for a meeting with MPs amid speculation that 7 of Uddhav Sena's MP are in contact with Shinde faction. Prime Minister Modi to hold bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron and defense, civil, nuclear energy innovation on agenda. Donald Trump says a US-Iran deal to be signed on Sunday. Iran refutes claims, saying a signing will not take place today. Hello and welcome viewers, you're watching Live and Breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra, and our top focus now. Trinamool Congress General Secretary and Lok Sabha MP Abhishek Banerjee is appearing before CID in connection with the signature forgery case. Now, just a short while ago, he reached the CID office in South Kolkata, and the case, viewers, here pertains to allegations that signatures of TMC MLAs were fabricated on a party resolution submitted to the Assembly Speaker for the selection of leader of opposition. This comes after Banerjee was questioned for nearly 6 hours at the CID headquarters in South Kolkata on Thursday as well. Abhishek, in fact, had earlier skipped 3 summons issued on June 1st, 8th and June 9th as well. His legal team had informed the agency that he was unwell and was in Delhi. In fact, earlier on Thursday, Calcutta High Court had also granted interim protection from coercive action to Banerjee in the case. But right now, rapid developments coming to light as he's now reached CID office, where he is going to be grilled by the investigators in signature forgery case. All right, my colleague Elena also joins with more details on this. Elena, take us through what exactly are we fetching at the moment. We understand that Abhishek Banerjee has already reached CID office in the signature forgery case. Elena, can you hear us?
See, Abhishek Bandyopadhyay, Lok Sabha MP, he was arrived at Bhavani Bhavan, South Kolkata at 11:44. He was scheduled to appear at 12 p.m. and arrived accordingly. He has been summoned in connection with the signature fraud case at the Assembly. And Abhishek Bandyopadhyay, he has arrived Bhavani Bhavan, South Kolkata at 11:44 a.m. Abhishek Bandyopadhyay remains unrepentant. He evaded question posted by Republic Bangla, which repeatedly asked him why he had committed the alleged theft. Abhishek is scheduled to appear at the ED office tomorrow as well. In addition, to today's appearance. Like any ordinary citizen, he had to sign in upon entering Bhavani Bhavan, where tight security involving both police and central forces is already in place. Abhishek Bandyopadhyay will face interrogation once again today. CID investigating officers are making the necessary preparations. He was questioned for nearly 6 hours during his previous visit, but the investigating officer were not satisfied with his responses, leading to this fresh summons. Abhishek Bandyopadhyay, Lok Sabha MP, Diamond Harbour. He has arrived Bhavani Bhavan CID office at 11:44 a.m. He was scheduled to appear
again in just a short while
PM.
from now. But Elena, if you could take our viewers through the details of the last time Abhishek was called in at the CID headquarters, and the grilling went on for over 5 hours.
See, last Thursday, Abhishek Bandyopadhyay, he has arrived Bhavani Bhavan, South Kolkata, CID office, and he has been asked for 6 hours. 6 hours CID officers, those summoned for assembly for signature fraud case, and previous Abhishek Banerjee will face interrogation once again today. CID investigating officer are making the necessary preparation for today interrogation. He was questioned for nearly 6 hours during his previous visit, and investigating officer were not satisfied. And then today, Abhishek Bandyopadhyay, he has arrived CID office, Bhavani Bhavan, South Calcutta, in 11:44 a.m. and CID officers is preparing questions for him.
All right, Elena, thanks so much for joining us and giving us all these details. We'll continue to track what exactly happens in this case, as now Abhishek Banerjee is being grilled by CID. In fact, shifting focus now, viewers, communal tensions are on the rise in Dehradun. This is after a Hindu man was killed and his family was attacked on Saturday evening, allegedly by their own neighbours. And this was over a dispute regarding water, according to police. Now, this incident has led to communal tensions in the area, and a large police contingent has now been deployed in an effort to prevent further escalation. A mob of protesters also pelted stones at the accused house, and following the tense situation, police conducted bulldozer action as well, knocking down the accused home while the accused himself remains absconding. Now, police team in fact are on the hunt to nab the accused, but tensions on the ground still remain high.
लोगों का कहना है कि पूरे अवैध अतिक्रमण ये हैं, इस अवैध अतिक्रमण पर बुलडोजर चलेगा। बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई दामी सरकार की चल रही है, और ये देखिए तमाम यहाँ पर बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई चलेगी। 25 लोगों ने मिलकर विनोद की हत्या करी, ऐसा क्षेत्र के लोगों का कहना है। और तस्वीर आप देखिए, ये तस्वीरें, ये आगजनी हत्यारोपी के घर पर। मुख्यमंत्री की लगातार क्षेत्र की जनता से अपील है कि कानून अपना हाथ में न लीजिए। कानून अपना काम कर रहा है, एक्शन होगा, हत्यारोपी जल्द सलाखों के अंदर होंगे। उसके साथ ही यहाँ पर एक नहीं 2 बुलडोजर यहाँ पर चलते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। पुलिस प्रशासन लॉ एंड ऑर्डर बनाने पर लगातार यहाँ पर काम करता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। ये तमाम तस्वीरें मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ, इस तरफ की तस्वीर भी आपको दिखाऊंगा। ये पूरी संपत्ति है, ये तमाम संपत्ति है, और बताया जाता है कि ये मेन घर है जहाँ पर, देखिए ये मेन घर था जहाँ पर वो रहता था। ये कौन सा मेन घर है भैया?
ये इनका मेन घर है जहाँ पे पर्सनल रहते थे।
अच्छा, यहाँ पर? हाँ जी, ये इनका परिवार का घर था, सब ताले मार के चले गए। देखिए मैं आपको तस्वीर दिखाऊंगा, इस घर को भी देखिए आग के हवाले कर दिया गया है। एक्सक्लूसिव भारत पर, सिर्फ रिपब्लिक भारत पर आगजनी की एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीर आप देखिए। हाँ जी, इधर भी है। ये दूध कर, ये जलते हुए घर, ये तमाम तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं रिपब्लिक भारत पर। ये तमाम तस्वीरें आप देखिए, ये आगजनी की देखिए तस्वीरें, ये आरोपी के घर की तस्वीर आप देख रहे हैं। ये देखिए ये तमाम वो तस्वीर आपको दिखा रहा हूँ। सिलेंडर घर के अंदर रखा है, फट सकता है, खतरा है। ये देखिए ताला लगा है, आरोपी फरार है। ये तमाम तस्वीरें उस आरोपी के घर की, और ये आग के हवाले पूरा घर कर दिया गया है। मेरी सहयोगी गौरी चौहान आपको एक एक तस्वीर दिखाती हुई नजर आ रही है। ये देखिए पूरा घर सुलझ रहा है, सुलग रहा है। मुख्यमंत्री ने निर्देश दिए हैं, कानून अपना काम कर रहा है, कानून व्यवस्था हाथ में मत लीजिए। लेकिन उसके बाद और तस्वीर मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ। ये देखिए तमाम ये प्रॉपर्टी है, इस जमीन को यहाँ पर अवैध कब्जा किया गया। ये देखिए घरों पर ताले लग गए हैं, लोग यहाँ से जा चुके हैं, यहाँ पर रहने वाले लोग जा चुके हैं। ये देखिए ढामी के बुलडोजर के डर से यहाँ से लोग जा चुके हैं। ये देखिए जा चुके हैं लोग यहाँ से। ये देखिए जा चुके हैं। ये तमाम तस्वीरें मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ। अवैध निर्माण की तस्वीरें दिखा रहा हूँ। ये अवैध निर्माण है सब। हाँ जी, ये अवैध निर्माण है। ये देखिए
सब चले गए।
ये देखिए
इनका मोहल्ला था, सब
पूरा मोहल्ले के लोग यहाँ से जा चुके हैं। ये देखिए पूरे मोहल्ले के लोग। ये तस्वीर सिर्फ रिपब्लिक भारत पर एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीर है। पूरे क्षेत्र में आपको ताला नजर आएगा। ये देखिए सब लोग यहां से जा चुके हैं। ये देखिए पूरे जो लोग थे वो यहां से जा चुके हैं। ये देखिए ये आरोपी के घर को आग के हवाले कर दिया गया है। ये तस्वीर बच के रहिएगा, घर में सिलेंडर हो सकता है। ये देखिए ये तस्वीरें मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूं। ये देखिए
सिलेंडर भी हो सकता है।
ये देखिए ये देखिए पूरा घर आरोपी का जलता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। ये देखिए कितने लोग रहते थे लगभग यहाँ पर 30 परिवार से अधिक परिवार रहता था। देखिए 30 से अधिक परिवार यहाँ पर रहता था, सब इस क्षेत्र से जा चुके हैं। ये तस्वीर मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ। 30 से अधिक परिवार एक्सप्लोरीपुर कॉलोनी से जा चुके हैं। हर तरफ कानून अपना काम कर रहा है, कानून व्यवस्था बना रहा है। लेकिन तस्वीर ये देखिए, ये तस्वीर देखिए, यहाँ पर भी आगजनी और दूसरी तरफ बुलडोजर। इस तरफ देखिए बुलडोजर, इस तरफ बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई। ये देखिए इस तरफ बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई जारी है। विधायक मोहन चौहान जनता को समझा रहे हैं कानून अपने हाथ में ना लीजिए, सरकार काम कर रही है और बुलडोजर भी अपना काम कर रहा है। ये देखिए बुलडोजर चल रहा है, हत्यारोपी के घर पर बुलडोजर चल रहा है। ये देखिए बाउंड्री वार तोड़ दिया गया है। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर कानून व्यवस्था बनाने का प्रयास लगातार कर रहा है प्रमोद कुमार। एसपी को भी आप देख रहे हैं। ये देखिए तमाम तस्वीरें रिपब्लिक भारत पर एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं। ये देखिए महाराज जी क्या कहना चाहेंगे? क्या कहेंगे महाराज जी इस घटना के बारे में?
इस घटना के बारे में
हाँ।
बहुत अच्छा कार्य हो रहा है, पुलिस भी धन्यवाद के पात्र है और उत्तराखंड गवर्नमेंट जो संज्ञान ले रही है बहुत अच्छा ले रही है। जिहादी मानसिकता किसी की भी हो बर्दाश्त नहीं की जाएगी क्योंकि देवभूमि है।
जिहादी मानसिकता आपको क्या घटनाक्रम की जानकारी मिली, क्या कुछ हुआ?
हमारा कमाल है, हमारे भगत जी का बेटा मार दिया गया है ना। चलो तुम्हारी लड़ाई हो, थप्पड़ लग गया, डंडा लग गया, इसका मतलब तुम जान से मारोगे, तुम जान से मार दोगे। तुम क्या दिखाना चाहते हो? तुम संख्या में अब इस समय बढ़ रहे हो तो तुम हिंदुओं को ऐसे मारोगे, ये किसी भी सूरत में बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जाए।
तो हिंदुओं को मारा जा रहा है, क्या कहेंगे आप?
चाहिए हम लोग गिरफ्तारी से एनकाउंटर होना चाहिए, इन सबका मौजूद है, एनकाउंटर होना चाहिए,
एनकाउंटर होना चाहिए।
सब लोग
क्या माहौल है यहाँ पर? डेमोग्राफी बदल रही है।
पूरा हिंदू समाज में आक्रोश है और उस आतताई को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा।
कम से कम
100 भी आदमी होंगे वो बख्शे नहीं जाएंगे बिल्कुल भी। ये हमारे शिष्य का लड़का था।
हम चाहेंगे
डेमोग्राफी बदल रही है यहाँ क्षेत्र की,
बिल्कुल बदल रही है, हर दिन
बदल रही है। कोई भी जिहादी ऐसा कार्य करने से पहले 100 बार नहीं 1000 बार सोचे।
कितने लोगों ने यहाँ पर हत्या करी है?
100 आदमी थे, मुझे कटमुल्ले 100 थे, 100 के 100 मरने चाहिए, इनका उनका होना चाहिए, उनके घर पर बच्चे के जब हम संतुष्ट होंगे। जब तक वो जिहादी।
तो देखिए बयान आप सुन रहे हैं, महात्मा यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं, उनका कहना है कि हमारे भगत के लड़के को मारा, उसकी दर्दनाक हत्या कर डाली है, हथौड़े से उसको यहाँ पर दर्दनाक मारी, और सीसीटीवी फुटेज तस्वीर हमारे पास है, दर्शकों ने देखी है, बेरहमी से उसकी हत्या कर दी गई। और इस वक्त बुलडोजर एक्शन, तमाम संगठन के लोग यहाँ पर मौजूद, और ये तस्वीर आप मेरे साथ रिपब्लिक भारत में देख सकते हैं। ये तमाम यहाँ पर कार्रवाई, और लगभग 30 से अधिक परिवार इस पूरे क्षेत्र में रहते हैं। इस वक्त सब घरों पर ताला लगने के बाद यहाँ से जा सकते हैं। कानून व्यवस्था बनाने का काम पुलिस प्रशासन लगातार कर रही है, लगातार कानून व्यवस्था बनाने का काम पुलिस यहाँ पर कर रही है। लेकिन आगजनी की घटनाएं, मुख्यमंत्री धामी का सख्त कहना है कि कानून अपना काम करेगा, कानून अपना काम कर रहा है, लेकिन कानून को हाथ में मत लीजिए। क्षेत्र की जनता से निवेदन है मुख्यमंत्री धामी का, और जो प्रशासन है वो मौके पर मौजूद हैं। बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई जारी है, और कुछ दलों के लोग भी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं। ये रास्ता छोड़ रहा है और बुलडोजर अब आ रहा है, रास्ता छोड़ के बुलडोजर अब घर के अंदर आ रहा है, या आ रहा है। लोगों का कहना है जिन सब ने मिलकर हत्या करी है विनोद की, उन सब के घर में बुलडोजर चलना चाहिए। यानी कि जो मकान आप देख रहे हैं, या आलीशान मकान या अवैध मकान जो आप देख रहे हैं, इस पर भी बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई होगी। धामी का बुलडोजर गरजेगा, कानून अपना काम करेगा। ये तस्वीर है देहरादून के विकासनगर क्षेत्र के बैरागी वाला क्षेत्र की है, जहां कल बेरहमी से ट्यूबवेल से पानी भरने के विवाद ने विनोद की निर्मम हत्या दूसरे समुदाय के लोगों ने कर दी, और उसके बाद से आक्रोश है, संत समाज में आक्रोश है, स्थानीय लोगों में आक्रोश है, जनता में आक्रोश है। यह आक्रोश लगातार पनप रहा है, डेमोग्राफी लगातार यहाँ की बदल रही है, लगातार यह आक्रोश देखने को यहाँ पर मिलता है। ये देखिए अब बुलडोजर की कार्रवाई यहाँ पर, ये बुलडोजर अंदर आता हुआ, ये बुलडोजर अंदर आता हुआ, ये बिजली काट दी गई है, बिजलियां काट दी गई हैं, बुलडोजर अपना काम करेगा। ये बुलडोजर को देखिए, विधायक को देखिए, मुन्ना सिंह चौहान को, जनता को समझा रहे हैं कि कानून अपने हाथ में मत लीजिए। जनता कह रही है कि विधायक जी सामने वो मकान टूटना चाहिए, सामने जो आप देख रहे हैं वो टूटना चाहिए। ये आक्रोश देखिए, ये आक्रोश है, मुख्यमंत्री का निर्देश है कि कानून व्यवस्था किसी को अपने हाथ में न लेने दी जाए, कानून अपना काम करेगा। और ये तस्वीर देखिए, ये तस्वीर देखिए, पूरी तस्वीर को आप देखिए, ये तस्वीर देखिए यहाँ पर, ये देखिए, ये देखिए। जनता से भी निवेदन करते हैं कि अब शब्दों का प्रयोग आप न करें, आपका गुस्सा जायज है, लेकिन शब्दों की गरिमा बनाए रखें। आपको लाइव जनता देख रही है, आप अब शब्दों का प्रयोग ना करें, आपसे रिपब्लिक भारत निवेदन करता है। आपका गुस्सा जायज है, लेकिन शब्दों की मर्यादा बनाए रखें, इसका भी हम आपसे निवेदन करते हैं। ये तमाम जनता यहाँ पर है, ये देखिए।
All right, we are slipping into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. Getting you all the details from Dehradun. On the other side, where communal tensions remain high as a Hindu man has been killed, his family members injured right after this dispute escalated over watering a field.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him, we will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive. And the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then. This is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from, the BJP and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape. And people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there, ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this moment will be the black spot on your career. And therefore, my point is to those who call themselves right-wingers. You cannot be right-wingers, say you're fighting for the right and be supporting lynchers and rapists at the same time. You cannot have this attitude that if you are pro-Hindu, then if someone who is a Hindu or from a Hindu organization commits the most ghastly crime, you will say it's all right because he claims membership of a Hindu organization. Why doesn't the Hindu Yuva Vahini sack and throw out Sushil Prajapati? Why can't they take a stand on issues such as this? Food for thought. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, not just for the people who are doing this, but for all of us. In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा RDO मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है, स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma, who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer go to AIIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem report? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking these questions. Now I ask you, am I right or wrong in asking these questions? And if I don't, who will? Will the government of Madhya Pradesh raise these questions? The Chief Minister doesn't have 30 seconds to meet the victim's family. Will the higher courts of the country raise these questions? So far, I have not seen this case being picked up by the appellate courts, though we are screaming and shouting about it. So I say tonight, what happens when other institutions fail? And if we do a media trial, should we be celebrated and supported for doing so? Was Aravali a media trial? Yes, it was. It was. Thank God for that. Thank God for that media trial which stopped the Aravalis from being destroyed. Was the Pune Porsche case a media trial where innocents were killed by a rich brat and the whole system colluded to give the rich brat a free run? Was it a media trial? I confess it was. Thank God.
the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 is partly in force, the Digital India Act is still being drafted. Inside that gap, agentic AI is shipping into Indian enterprises every week. 3 voices on stage who have spent decades on 3 different parts of this question. Moderated by lovely Sheena Bhalla again. Let's welcome our guests on stage with some energy in the room. Can we have some energies?
India is not short of legal frameworks and bills. We've spoken about earlier, our lovely introducer told us. We've got the IT Act, we've got the DPDP, we've got MADI guidelines, and we've got a proposed AI bill that's in the work that we're going to hear from Mr. Pawan. But the gap I want to spend the next 30 minutes on is whether we have the rules that are truly needed for a system like ours, which is scale, which is taking in supply chains, and building innovation scale models on it. So I have the fortune of having 3 phenomenal voices. Really, really excited to have this conversation. I'm going to start with you, Osama. My question is, who do you think confessed? Was it the tool? Was it the company that deployed the tool? Or was it the government that deployed the ecosystem?
No, the data that you fed to the system, you know, the data, the source of data. So if the source of data is biased, then it is replying. The system is honest. The system is not thinking that I have to reply to the question that who is asking, and therefore I have to be nice to that person. It's replying from the data it is fed, the bias that it is fed, the previous virtue that has been fed into the data, you know. But unfortunately, the data that is fed, you know, I just wrote when you said delete of data is deletion of agency. You know, data is mine, but if my data is deleted, my agency is deleted, you know. I am deleted. That's what you said in RGA. So, you know, in AI, this is very, very important, is that, you know, how the system that we are making, we may be extremely premature, maybe a couple of decades immature to start relying on AI systems. The kind of data that it requires to behave thinking, and therefore I think is that even though we have adopted AI as a tool that we must adopt, we need to still question is that how much maturity it requires before you start relying on it.
Syed, I'd love to bring in your perspective here. Where do you think accountability lies?
Thank you so much, Sheena. I think there are 1 or 2 things. I think one is maybe perhaps for the first time in the human history, we have more data than we can understand actually. Earlier, imagine 20, 30, 40, 50 years back, you were searching for information. You were waiting for a newspaper to know what happened in another village or what happened in the other state. And today, the millions of data sets created, even as we are talking, is already live. People are watching all across the world and all. But I think in this process of opening up, making digital identities and all, the responsibility of the systems has not been the discussion as it should have been from a day one. So that means the big tech platforms, when they build, they say security by design, but do we really know what that really means? Does a person, a farmer on the ground really understand when the data is captured, what kind of data is captured?
Given we're discussing whether it's the individual or the builders, and you've been working in this space across legal frameworks, like how is the government thinking about it? How are you thinking about it? And who do you think is responsible?
Clearly, we have to come out of our medieval age mindset where we marry harm to one actor. And the law says, look, this actor needs to be punished or needs to be penalized. This thing is because that was a different world we were living in. Today, when we are talking about AI, specifically agentic AI, there are numerous ramifications that you are not aware of. For example, before you build an AI agent, do you know who created the AI agent? Do you know what's the logic behind the AI agent? And I go further. I go to these new latest platforms which allow you to build an AI agent. You're only being given the scaffolding. You're not being told the basis of what's going to be behind the AI agent's thinking process. And now with the ability of AI to get more autonomous, to go ahead and even take autonomous decisions to bind me, I think the time has come where we'll have to have a multi-layered approach towards liability.
Thank you so much. It has been an honor. I do think we haven't really resolved the question that we came up with, which was who is actually accountable. But what I'd love for the audience to take back is, having heard these experts and domain experts in this space, if there's one thing that you could do different in how you engage with AI, how you deal with AI, how you use AI, then please do think of it. And thank you so much. It has been an absolute honor. Thank you for your time and your brilliance.
Our next speaker, who was here yesterday as well, and his name definitely garners a lot of interest and gets a lot of people here on the seats. Please welcome the founder, chairman, and editor-in-chief of Republic Media Network, Mr. Arnab Goswami.
This session has been described for some reason as the last journalist. I don't know why they have said so, because it is a way of my claiming that I'm the only journalist in the country or the last journalist in the country, both of which are very bad. There is this assumption that technology can do anything. Technology can act, technology can direct, technology can paint, technology can do poetry, technology can do music, and so technology can also do journalism. What's the big deal about journalism? What is the big deal about being a journalist? Everything is replicated and replicable. But I'll tell you, technology can do a lot of things. It can do the mechanics of news production. It can take you to the limits of news production. It can render a graphic beautifully in a short period of time, you know. It can edit a video to near perfection. It can, in fact, in the last budget that we broadcasting, Sarvam AI partnered with Republic, and Sarvam AI did a live translation of Nirmala Sitharaman's speech with a latency of 30 seconds. We thought the latency will be 1.5 minutes. And it was live translating it into Bengali, live translating into Hindi. And it was incredible because Nirmala Sitharaman was seen to be speaking pure Sanskritized Hindi in her speech. So technology is a force mobilizer. It can get people across multiple languages and beam it to different audiences. It can do a lot of things in terms of expanding your reach. But you see, it cannot do what the purpose of journalism is. And what is the purpose of journalism? Purpose of journalism is not efficiency. It is gut instinct. AI can give you information on a story, but it cannot make your heart beat faster with the coverage you do on a particular story when you're speaking for the people. AI, artificial intelligence, can give you their technology, assist you to produce the story, but technology does not have a moral compass. It starts hallucinating in its own way. Technology doesn't tell you the difference between right and wrong, between black and white, between truth and falsehood. And that is the biggest problem as far as AI and technology in the context of journalism is. It actually makes me very happy because then I can never be replaced. My reporter can never be replaced. The human being can never be replaced. At the end of the day, a machine is not a human being. And you need human beings to read and follow human beings. Imagine a world where all of you were sitting here and the guiding force behind you, deciding your feelings and emotions and responses to story was not a Arnab Goswami, but a robot. Maybe you'll say robot would be better. But trust me, at some point of time, I would differentiate between right and wrong. A robot would not. So when you speak of the last journalist, I hope that day never comes when there is a last journalist. Because the last journalist disappears, then our society goes forever.
Stefano Falaha built Podio into the largest podcast platform in the Middle East and North Africa, from a region most venture capital underwrites cautiously. He is on stage today on what India's creator economy can take from that build and what it cannot. Please welcome Stefano Falaha.
My journey starts about 10 years ago, and I was very young at the time, still young. But back then, I think what really brought me into the medium is that I realized that we all have voices that go silent. And so in 2020, just before COVID hit, I onboarded my second startup, and that was an audio social network. And back then, the idea was if you had a few minutes to the stadium, if you had a few minutes to commute, we're going to personalize content that's personalized for you. Now, what did this all learning tell us? This told us that we want to consume personalized content, and we want to be at the forefront of what is being fed to us. Today, we power tens of millions of listeners around the world. We have tens of thousands of creators. We've raised the largest funding round in the Middle East and North Africa for the podcasting economy. And so all of that compounded learnings have led me to this journey today. The next 10 years, we are all going to be attention-free, right? We're going to be controlled. Our attention is going to be sacred. Maybe it's going to be equivalent as much as time, as much as money, because every single second of your attention is being monetized. And you're not taking any of that. You're a listener, doesn't matter. You're getting ads. You're a creator, also doesn't matter. The big platforms take money from you and they don't revenue share. And so all this to say, because the social media wave has effectively brought us to a very short-term attention span. And that has led platforms to continuously push content to you and to continuously control what you want to consume. And so there has been some phenomenal developments in the podcasting industry that has really catapulted the industry. I think last 2 or 3 days ago, there was this new report that podcasting is, I think, a $9 or $10 billion industry, up from 5 a few years ago. So that's progressing extremely quickly. To us, India is our stepping stone when it comes to the next big global power for voices, and we're just getting started. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this. I hope the lessons and the learnings and the story was helpful. And thank you very much to the ImagineX team for having me, and thank you so much for Mumbai being the city of dreams. Thank you.
Maharashtra is the first state to create a formal MICE bureau, and the MICE bureau is now going to function in order to facilitate getting large conventions, events of this nature, and much more kind of thing is being planned. So we have recently created MICE bureau with say governing structure, and office is also being set up. So MICE bureau will start functioning very soon. Secondly, it's also going to attract various stakeholders in the functioning of the MICE bureau. So there will be representatives of hotel sector, transport sector, logistics, travel and tourist agents, etc. So they will all be part of this functioning of the MICE bureau. So it becomes more private enterprise along with the government officials. Secondly, not only in Mumbai, but we want to have MICE centers throughout the state. So UD of Maharashtra government has come out with a policy promoting MICE centers at 6 divisional centers like Nashik, Sambhajinagar, Pune, Nagpur, and about 2 in MMR region. So there will be additional incentives given for development of big MICE centers in these places. We are also trying to have curated experiences along with these MICE centers. So a delegate will come, but he should be able to see some other things apart from the main event. So curated experiences will be tied up with MICE centers, as well as now another very interesting tourism activity that is being undertaken in Maharashtra is that we will develop about 100 sub-circuits in Maharashtra as part of Vikasit Maharashtra tourism plan, where these sub-circuits will have all the necessary infrastructure, and so when someone comes to a MICE event, so he will be able to experience these sub-centers with good facilities, sort of curated experiences. So that's how we expect that MICE as a destination in Maharashtra will pick up in a big way. So when a tourist comes to Maharashtra for one thing, he will find there are other 5 things which needs to be explored. So it has very pristine beaches, not very crowded beaches, clean beaches, and there are many other adventurous activities that are also available to tourists who come to coastal areas. So we are expecting them to explore our coastal areas in a big way. Apart from these beaches, we have about 350 forts, out of which recently only 12 forts have been declared as UNESCO heritage sites. So there is a lot of history and heritage, special cuisine that needs to be explored. So people can of course explore this fort related heritage. And then we have wildlife like Tadoba, Pench. So though it is far from Mumbai, but I'm sure people would like to also explore this. And Tadoba, Pench, they offer very unique kind of wildlife. Then Melghat, which is again very unexplored and very large tract of forest which can be experienced. Apart from that, we have of course rich cultural and heritage structures like Ajanta, Ellora, Elephanta. These are unique in a sense that no other destination can have such rich heritage structure. I mean, one can actually see them and then get awed by the rich heritage culture which Maharashtra offers. Then we have these religious circuits. We have Ashtaminayaks, we have Jyotirlings. So there are temples which are built say 1,000 years back, and they are very beautiful structures. So there is so much to explore, and I'm sure all this cannot be explored in one visit.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you here with us, to all of us out here and the digital audiences who will be watching us. Now, before we get started, I think cumulatively on this stage, there's over 100 years of hindsight experience that comes about when it comes to the Indian IT space. 3 of you gentlemen are pretty much at the spearhead of how this country is going to be using AI over the decades to come. And the heart of this conversation is really 2030. How do we calibrate an approach that is realistic, but also is going to be appeased? Mr. Chandrasekhar?
Yeah, I think that the critical question is, have we really thought through how such a powerful technology like AI is going to help us shape our economy and our lives? And what do we need to get there? And there are many, many reasons apart from it just being a powerful technology, because today we live in a world where everything is being weaponized. So resources, everything is getting weaponized, and tech is at the front end of all of that. And AI being so powerful, the question of what do you do if it does get weaponized becomes important. So the sovereignty question has also been brought into the picture, and the whole security implications have come in. So I think the question is, A, in what way do we think we will use AI, which is most beneficial economically? And have we thought it through?
Dr. Natarajan?
No, but I think that's absolutely right, because I've heard this from Yogi Berra, the great football coach. Same thing. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. But I think it's absolutely critical. We need to have some goalposts in mind. I mean, today if you compare, today, by the way, there's a lot of disillusionment in youth that, look, has India lost the plot as far as AI is concerned? Primarily because, I mean, if you look at the big names that come out, whether it's Anthropic or whether it's OpenAI or NVIDIA, it's all US, massively funded, massively privatized organizations. If you look at China, on the other hand, there is a whole ecosystem of Chinese government, universities, research institutions, and of course entrepreneurs who are coming together to the party. So that's why you see the DeepSeek and so many others. And in India, I think we're worried that, look, I mean, have we got behind in the sovereign AI race, in the LLM race, etc.? And I think the answer to that question is not to be defensive and say, yes, of course we'll do it. We have Sarvam, we have so many others. But I would echo what our Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw very categorically said. I think it was in the AI summit, where he said, look, we are not here to play or even try to lead in the energy layer or the data layer to that extent, but it is the models and applications.
Mr. Purushottam?
So building AI, certainly I think there are lots of areas where we are struggling. Now, can we use DPIs to build AI? I think that's another question, because everybody is trying to leverage what they have. If US has the capital, US has the innovation, they are building on top of it. China is figuring out, like, obviously they have the market, but they have been able to create such a strong last 2 decades of very strategic choices. They have been able to cover energy, they have been able to cover the whole constraint-based innovation, if not like pure innovation. And I think India is still figuring out, like, what are those important levers that we can play for building AI.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरी राजा,
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act